Hello and welcome to the wonderful but very wet Oulton Park here in Cheshire. It's the start of the 2012 British GT Championship. Now this one really should be a cracker with some of the best racing machinery out there going head-to-head on track. So hang on to the edge of your seat because, as last year showed us, this should be a lot of fun. So before the action gets underway here at Oulton Park, let's have a look at some of this year's runners and riders that are hoping for glory. Here's Martin Haven.
2012 looks set to be yet another close season. Late delivery of the Ferrari last year hampered MTech, but they're hoping to hit the ground running this weekend.
I mean, last year was a learning year for Ferrari and for ourselves. We had issues with the car until about June or July, where they were still developing it. And the rest of the season went really well for us, both in British and in FIA GT. So, yeah, we've done a bit of testing this year, which is something we didn't get a chance to do last year because we didn't have a car to go testing in. So, yeah, we're quick, looking good, quietly confident.
Nissan dipped their toes in the water last season. This year they're back with two big GTRs that promise to be quick.
When I first saw it, every sort of doubt and every sort of niggle that was in my mind completely went, and it's a superb piece of equipment. And the JRM guys and Nissan have done a superb job, and hopefully we can repay them with some good results this weekend.
Good stuff. Now you just have to uphold your end of the bargain.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, we're pushing hard. Hopefully we can move up the grid and hopefully challenge some podiums in the wet.
Tim Harvey makes a welcome return to the GT paddock for his first full season in more than a decade. He's lost none of his racing passion and is bound to be in the mix.
Well, it should be a good year, It's nice to come back to GTs after quite a few years in Porsche Carrera Cup. Obviously, I did GTs before with the Dodge Vipers back in 2001, and it's a very welcoming paddock. So it's nice to be back here full time with Track Speed and and John Minshaw in the Porsche.
Our 2010 champions back as well, David Ashburn in the Track Speed Porsche with experienced co-driver Richard Westbrook.
It's very close, as we'll see in qualifying. It's if you do a good lap, you're going to be at the front, but if you're missing a few attempts, you're going to be way down the order. It's endurance racing, but it's only an hour, so qualifying is very, very important. So, but with it being so close, we've got to up our game. Everyone has, and just looking forward to it.
The GT4 class should be equally competitive. Phil Glue was a winner last year in the Lotus Evora. He'll be hoping for big things this season.
Obviously, there's no point in doing it unless you're aiming to win. But you've got to look at the strong pairings that there are in the two Ginetta cars. Like I said, the Warren Hughes and Jody Fannin is a very strong pairing. And if I can try and get Salish up to speed and learn all the circuits quick enough, I think that we can give them a good run for their money.
So it's round one here at Oulton Park, and as you can see, nature has thrown her spanner into the works by delivering us bucket loads of rain. And I can tell you, in these conditions, the form book goes right out the window. The track is going to be crazy. But let's take a look at the front of the grid, shall we? And on pole, we have Audi versus Aston Martin. But frankly, by the first corner, anything could happen.
Ready for the rolling start. Race one of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship. Poleman Charles Bateman leads the round in streaming wet conditions in the Audi. The brand new Aston Martin 007 alongside. And Alistair McCaig in the new BMW as they get the green flag to start the season. 3 different marks head into the spray at the front. And it's the Audi with the visibility. The Aston Martin drops into second. On board with Duncan Cameron in the Ferrari. Going to be treacherous going until these tyres get back up to temperature after a slow warm-up lap will have cooled them down. Charles Bateman in the Audi, Andrew Howard the Aston, Alistair McCaig ahead of Jan Mardenborough and Duncan Cameron. Running out wide is Jody Firth in number 15 Ginetta. That's not good, running out of road on the exit. Oh, it's very treacherous indeed. Jan Mardenborough, one of the Nissan GT Academy youngsters, his first drive in his big GTR after running in a GT4 350Z last year, piling on the pressure to another newcomer. A sensational BMW, looks and sounds great. And in 5th position, Duncan Cameron in the M-Tech Ferrari, just struggling a little out of the hairpin on this opening lap. He's got plenty of experience. On board then with the race leader. Charles Bateman, of course, gets to every corner first, and what happens to him gives indications to those behind of how treacherous it might be. But he is starting to pull away quickly from Andrew Howard's Aston and Alistair McCaig in the BMW. There is the top Porsche, the number 31 machine. David Ashburn, the former champion, giving the Mercedes of David Jones a tough time. Jones 22 on the outside, but just keeps his nose in front. Little yellow chevron disappearing in the spray behind them up at Druids. Very, very wet indeed. It's a real baptism, well, not of fire, but of water for Jan Mardenborough. First time out in a British GT Championship. Very competitive car. At Nissan, all over the back of the BMW. Jody Firth passing 55. Jodie Fannin, the pole sitter in the GT4 class. Two different Ginettas look very similar. Race very different. 3rd, 4th and 5th, BMW, Nissan, Ferrari. And although the GTR had one race outing last year, it is pretty much an unproven car in British GTs. The BMW Z4 definitely is. But this Ferrari, the M-Tech car, well, they've had that all year last year. New team to the championship, Motorbase. This is one of their 2 cars. They're used to Porsche Cup racing and British touring cars, so very experienced outfit. Well, here's the battle now for 2nd place. And the Aston Martin, oh dear, mistake there for Andrew Howard, outbrakes himself at Hislop chicane, and he will have to allow the BMW to go through as he takes the short route through. So Alistair McCaig moves up to 2nd, and through with him goes Jan Mardenborough in that red and black Nissan. Great move by the Welsh youngster, new to racing last year, but that's a very mature performance. Saw the opportunity and grabbed it with both hands. Now Andrew Howard's got to regain his composure. Look, there's a queue of 3 cars behind him. Duncan Cameron in the Ferrari. He's not queuing, he's coming down the inside. Is he going to make the pass? No, he's not, but puts Andrew Howard under more pressure as they get into Lodge Corner. On board now with the M-Tech Ferrari driver. They've got a full year of experience with this car, those drivers and that team. And for the Aston, Andrew Howard, well, this GT3 version of the V8 Vantage is different from the DBR that they've been racing for the last few years. Similar, but not the same. And in these treacherous conditions, that can make a big difference. And look, down the inside comes the silver Mercedes. David Jones having a lunge at the Ferrari. On board with rookie Sailesh Bolisetti, just come from India for the British GT Championship. He's sharing his Lotus with Phil Glue in GT4. They're currently lying in 4th place. Their teammates, 2 cars in front, are in 3rd. The yellow chevron not in the GT4 race. He's got to try and get by it nonetheless to attack his teammate. On board with Duncan Cameron. In front is Andrew Howard. This then the battle for 4th place. And through he goes. Lunges up the inside. Well, the Ferrari managed to shake off David Jones in that silver Mercedes that was power sliding through the middle of the corner. Looks like Jones has got the bit between his teeth. David Ashburn is there as well. And Daniele Perfetti in the Motorbase Porsche started to close in on that battle. As the lead has gone, here comes the battle for 2nd and 3rd. The BMW under real pressure from the first Nissan as the second one loops off the track. Freddie Hetherington losing it at Druids, and David Jones up the inside of Andrew Howard. He moves by, and Howard now will have to try and defend against another champion, David Ashburn, with a run up the outside. And Daniele Perfetti in the other Porsche filling his other mirror. Well, Howard has shut that challenge down and now turns in across Ashburn's bows. Let's take a look back at Freddie Hetherington's incident at Druids. Midway through the corner, wheels on the grass. Big spin, but he avoids the scenery. Driving rain, pit window is open, and lots of early stops it would seem. You just saw the Ferrari of Duncan Cameron coming in from 4th place. David Jones staying out though. Between him and twin brother Godfrey, not much to choose in terms of performance. Hector Lester out. He'll hand over the Rosso Verde Ferrari to Alan Simonson in a very busy pit lane. Out comes Matt Griffin for MTEC's Ferrari team. And just about everybody stopping early. Leader is still out there, the Audi. In from second place, Alistair McCaig, making his British GT debut, hands over to Ollie Bryant. Meanwhile, Jan Mardenborough handing over to Alex Buncombe in the Nissan team as BMW makes its departure. Andy is with Alistair McCaig. I wonder how the British GT rookie enjoyed his third ever wet race.
So Alistair, pretty exciting so far.
Yeah, it was a great start. Managed just to get my head down and put in a first good stint in the wet. Hopefully we can pull a podium from this.
Leader Matt Bell now taking over the Audi from Charles Bateman, the man who started from pole position and has led almost all the race. And it will have been very hard work physically and especially mentally out on the track. Late pit stop then for the Jones twins. David to hand over to Godfrey as they come in from the lead, and Andy is down with Charlie Bateman.
Best place out to be out the front, wasn't it? Avoiding all that spray.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being on pole is always going to help in the wet. You know, we got a clear start, and sort of, you know, heading down the avenue, I could see that, you know, everyone else was bunched back. There's a lot of spray, so, you know, just got my head down and pushed from there, really.
Nice one. Is it in the bag, do you think?
It never is. We'll see. You know, Matt's doing a great stint. There's not many cars out there that are much quicker than us. We've got a fairly comfortable gap. I'm sure Matt can do the job. So.
Nice.
Well, Matt Bell busy in traffic. Right in front is the Lotus battling with the Ginetta. That's the third place squabble in GT4. We see it now from Phil Glue's viewpoint as the Audi splits the difference. He goes up the inside of Mike Simpson. That was cheeky. The Audi opened the door. Simpson let him go through and Glue followed. Cheeky move from Phil Glue, and Andy's caught up with his teammate. He's down in the pits.
First time out in British GT. How are you feeling about it?
It's a great experience. My experienced teammate Phil Glue has been teaching me a lot about the circuit and about the car. It's the first time for me in a rear-wheel drive, so it's a lot to learn for me in the first weekend. But I think we are doing good, depending on the timings. But I'm learning, so most probably for the second race we'll be pretty good.
Absolutely.
We'll be better than now.
Well, at the moment, Matt Bell is certainly holding up his end of the bargain, lapping fast and cleanly, carving his way through traffic in the Audi. And that team won once last year in their maiden season. Looks like they might be on target for win number 2. And the BMW, Ollie Bryant, charging hard in second place for a Courier Cost. Battle for second now in the GT4 class between the Lotuses. Lining up his teammate. Down the inside goes Phil Glue and cleanly past Alistair McKinnon. The MTEC team watching with interest, the battle raging for third position. There in the middle of it is their car, the number 21 Ferrari of Matt Griffin, right behind Richard Westbrook in the white and green Porsche. And they are all over the back of the Nissan of Alex Buncombe and the Mercedes in front. That's Godfrey Jones. He's in third place as he comes up to second and third in the GT4 class. He squeezes through and Alex Buncombe can't. Oh, and through goes Richard Westbrook. Westy picks up a place there from Matt Griffin. Now the Nissan can get by. Can it or not? Westbrook looking for another move. And the Ferrari of Matt Griffin in traffic. Westbrook's going to get blocked, and through goes Alan Simonson in his Ferrari. He's gone by Westbrook, he's gone by Griffin, picked up 2 places on the run up to Druids. So Westbrook went up 1, down 2 there. Let's take a look again at this. This is fantastic action. On board with Matt Griffin. Westbrook in front is balked, so is Griffin. Through goes Simonson. How did he find the room? Well, Alan Simonson on a real charge now. This is for 4th place, trying to go around the outside of Alex Buncombe. That won't work. Yes, it will. He's at the apex and he's gone through. Now, talk about cheeky. That's not a pass in the wet weather. Buncombe gave him room to survive. Great stuff, guys. Fantastic battle behind the Mercedes as we're again on board with Matt Griffin. Alex Buncombe slower at the apex than the Ferrari. As we saw in the last hairpin, Alan Simonson gets away quicker. Here comes Matt Griffin, and it looked like the Nissan was spinning its tyres there as it went up through the gears. The Ferrari gobbled it up. Godfrey Jones still third from Alan Simonson, then the Nissan of Alex Buncombe, then 21 Matt Griffin, then Richard Westbrook on the back as he was before, and right in the background the fast approaching lights of Michael Caine. So Caine in his Porsche is closing in on this battle, reeling them in hand over fist. Now, has Alan Simonson got anything left to show the Mercedes? Can he put the Rosso Verde Ferrari on the podium? Here comes Matt Griffin up the inside of Alex Buncombe. And I think the Nissan is really starting to struggle. The rear end, if it's giving up, will be bad on acceleration, but bad on braking as well. Lots of grip left in the Porsche as well. Look how tight on the inside there Richard Westbrook is. The green tail shows he's really looking aggressive. So too is Simonson. Looks outside, looks inside, down to the Shell Oils hairpin. Is he going to have a lunge? No, he's not. Showing outside, forcing Jones to go in shallow and come out wide. He cuts back to the inside. Jones having trouble getting the power down. And that effectively shuts the door on Simonson. And it's raining even more heavily now. It's pelting down as Westbrook goes by the Nissan. So both big front engine cars, the Mercedes at the front and the Nissan at the back of this queue, are struggling. Meanwhile, Matt Bell racing on. He's got nothing and no one to worry about except a slippery track. But at the moment, everything looks cool, calm and collected for United Autosports. 2 second places here last year with their Audi R8. Let's see, will they go one better? Still sounds glorious as it waffles its way around. Meanwhile, past another V8 goes yet another V8. The Ferrari dives by, and Alan Simonson is up to third in front of Godfrey Jones. Matt Griffin checks the mirrors. Where's Westbrook got to? Now he's going to have a lunge at Jones. Jones early on the brakes. Griffin down the inside. He's going to try and ditch hook it around. Oh, still he can't avoid contact. Jones tries to shut the door, and damage to the Mercedes as he loops off the track, and he rejoins behind Michael Caine. Well, miserable weather for the big crowd here at Oulton Park, but phenomenal racing action. Lots of excitement everywhere. Fourth place now for the 21 M-Tech Ferrari of Matt Griffin, and that's after that contact with Godfrey Jones. Well, Griffin had a run down on Jones's Mercedes into the first corner, but Jones trying to take the apex anyway, ignoring the Ferrari. Contact was made, and Jones spinning out as a result. This is Ricky Christodoulou single-seater race, raced in British F3 here last year, making his GT debut, and there is the GT leader in GT4, and that is Warren Hughes. Little moment off the track there. It's a bit of an unusual error for a driver's experienced as Warren Hughes, but he did get away with it, so should be no harm done to that GT4 leading Ginetta. No harm done to this car either. Look at it, it's well, apart from the filth from the rain and the brake dust and everything else, absolutely pristine condition. The Audi started on pole and is looking like it's on its way from pole to victory. On to the last lap now, Matt Bell. United Autosports didn't claim a win here last year, and they look like they may not claim a win here this year either. He's weaving, which is the classic indication that he has run out of fuel. He's trying to slosh it around to get the car to go, and it's too late. The Acuriacos BMW, Ollie Bryant, has taken the lead of the race, and that is heartbreaking for United Autosports. Through into second goes the Ferrari with the cloverleaf on the nose. That's Alan Simonson. Into third goes Matt Griffin, and the battle with Richard Westbrook, and the team are shell-shocked. Well, what a turnaround on the last lap of the first hour-long race of the season in British GTs. And as BMW heads perhaps to a maiden victory, let's not be certain of that yet, Matt Bell's first win for the team of 2012 has gone out of the window. Wow, and that's why, even when you can't see the leader, you push on hard, because in their 60th anniversary year, former Le Mans winners Acuriacos win the season opener at Oulton Park. mark as they return to British GT racing. Well, the Acuria Cos team are jubilant, but Audi are heartbroken. But for Acuria Cos, race win #1 from Hector Lester and Alan Simonson, Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin. And let's catch up with our happy winners.
That's fantastic. I mean, I didn't think we'd be winning that one. The Audi was really good. He was doing a great job out the front, but unfortunately for them, I think they had a problem on the last lap. Maybe ran out of fuel or something, I'm not sure. But it's obviously good for us. But surprise win, I say, for the first round. But fantastic. Alistair did a great job at the beginning. You know, his first ever GT race start. So he did a great job, and the whole team did a good job. And the car was great.
Hector, you got second.
Yeah, and we're very happy with that. Probably actually disappointed because now we think we could have been first, you know, if we were so close. But second's good.
Well, no, it was actually quite tricky out there because it was getting really greasy, so the car was moving around a lot, so just keeping it on the track was quite hard. But yeah, no, couldn't have asked for more really. Hopefully we can do the same this afternoon.
Well, a fantastic, dramatic, winning start to the season for the Acuria Cos team, but the BMW would start 8th for an equally wet second race getaway, where Richard Westbrook from pole position jumped into an immediate lead. As we saw in race 1, being out front in these conditions is absolutely vital. Unaided by anybody else, the Mercedes was again spinning at the first corner. Godfrey Jones going off in the awful conditions. Warren Hughes in the 55 Ginetta, the race 1 GT4 winner, led again. Drivers who had finished race 2 starting race 1. It was therefore Matt Griffin who handed over to Duncan Cameron as the field pitted midway through the race. Contact then with Hector Lester and Duncan Cameron put the number 3 Ferrari, second in race 1, into the barriers. But victory came for David Ashburn, the 2010 champion, and his teammate Richard Westbrook. Warren Hughes and Jody Fannin won GT4 again. Tim Harvey and John Minshaw were third behind Matt Griffin and Duncan Cameron. And our happy winners, David Ashburn and Richard Westbrook.
Pole, great start, nice healthy lead, result.
Yeah, it was a great win, and well done to my teammate first of all, who drove absolutely superbly. He just seems to get younger and younger.
Well, the change to British summertime and therefore the return of foul weather didn't stop play. Warren Hughes and Jody Fannin lead in GT4, and Richard Westbrook and the evergreen David Ashburn are the overall championship leaders in GT3.
Welcome to rounds 3 and 4 of the British GT season, and this weekend something pretty special. We're in Germany at the mighty Nurburgring. This weekend, the Nurburgring is home to a 24-hour endurance spectacular, and our British GT racers are part of the bill.
Heading into the first race of the weekend, it was a massive grid in Germany that saw Jan Mardenborough on pole for the first time in the black Nissan GTR. He survived the first corner to hold on, unlike Daniele Perfetti, tagged into a spin, and the action was intense. A huge tussle broke out in GT4, but again it was Jody Fannin that came out on top. With teammate Warren Hughes, they took the third victory of the season.
Team WFR did a really good pit stop and everything, so it's nice to get a 3 out of 3 wins, and so we've just got to keep it going now.
At the pit stops, Jan Mardenborough came in with the lead in the Nissan, but a mistake in the timing by the team saw them handed a drive-through penalty that would cost them the race. That handed the lead to Andrew Howard. He claimed a maiden win in his brand new Aston Martin.
Our job here today was to get points, and the fact we've got the win is just stunning, but we really needed to get the points and start building points. We are going for the championship, but this is a win at the Nürburgring, so how cool is that? It's just brilliant.
Confirmation of the result then, a maiden win for the Beechdean Aston ahead of the Motorbase Porsche and RJN's Nissan, and it's another GT4 win for Jody Fannin and Warren Hughes.
Race 2 here at the Nurburgring, and I have to say it's a fascinating front grid. In fact, 5 of the front 7 are all Porsches. Perhaps most interestingly, of course, we have Nick Tandy racing in pole. He, of course, made his name racing Porsches around Europe. Porsche is so good on the straight, and the Nurburgring has plenty of that. But taking him on in second, as yesterday, it is the Aston, this time being raced by Johnny Adam.
Round 4 of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship, the second 1-hour encounter, part of the huge Nürburgring 24-hour sports car celebration. It's Nick Tandy on pole from Jonathan Adam in the Aston. Richard Westbrook taking a run down the inside. You can see his green bumper. Tandy leads. Westbrook in second place. 2 former Porsche Super Cup drivers and 2 more Porsches side to side behind the Aston Martin. Alan Simonson just inside the top 10 as we squirm through the very tight first right-left sequence. Richard Westbrook in second place, Nick Tandy the race leader as they all survive the first corner without damage. That's a little better than the first attempt. On board again with Alan Simonson, that is Tim Harvey in front, we're in 8th position. Just see the Ferrari of Matt Griffin in front of him, and there's another Ferrari, and that's Adam Wilcox. The Predator car has not even started the race. Looks like he's heading for the pits. On board with race leader Nick Tandy, pushing very hard on cold tyres, trying to get away from Richard Westbrook and Joe Osborne. There they are with the green bumpers behind. Johnny Adam in 4th in the Aston. On board with Phil Glue in the GT4 battle. He's second, just in front of us. You can see the white Ginetta. That is our GT4 leader, Warren Hughes. And Hughes and teammate Jody Fannin have won GT4 the last 3 races. Well, Nick Tandy pulling away fast, everybody else battling for second. On board with Dominic Evan, dives down the inside of Ryan Ratcliffe. That's for 4th in GT4. Over the curbs he goes, picks up the gravel a little. Jonathan Adam defending 4th place against Michael Caine's Porsche. Can the Aston stay there? No, Caney's going around the outside. And there are passes left, right and centre going on here. There goes Tandy, Westbrook, Osborne, and then Michael Caine up to 4th ahead of Johnny Adam in the Aston Martin. The red Ferrari there, that's Aaron Scott. He's attacking Ollie Bryant's BMW, and we're 2 cars back. There's Scott and the BMW 22. That is Godfrey Jones in the Mercedes. Breathless stuff so far, but amazingly, with all this metal rushing into the first corner, no major contact, nobody getting spun round. Well done, class. Back on board with Phil Glue, closing in on Warren Hughes. The car on the left-hand side. Warren trying to get by Mikael Bender in a visiting Audi GT3 car, but he has held up the Geordie, and now the Lotus in its new black and gold colour scheme, going around the outside of Hughes' Ginetta. This is the battle for the lead of GT4. No way round that time. They're in the slipstream of the Audi. We're getting a tow from Hughes as well. There's the white car, Warren Hughes. There's the black Lotus. Phil Glue launches down the inside. Yes, he takes the lead. Will he hold it on the exit? He does. And right behind with the yellow highlights, look at that. Alex Osborne through into second in GT4. Warren Hughes led GT4 across the line. By the end of corner 2, he's down in 3rd place. Now that Team WFR Ginetta has won all 3 opening races of the season in GT4, and suddenly Warren Hughes jumped by 2 rivals down to 3rd place. The Lotus started the season in the colours it raced in last year, red, white, and now it's black and gold, the colours of the current Lotus GP team. So maybe that's making a difference, and there is Colin White in his invitational car. This is the battle next up in GT4. Dominic Evan right behind Ryan Ratcliffe's yellow car, battling for 4th and 5th as the Lotus tries to stay away out front. Oh, and Colin White in that invitational class G55 is really piling the pressure on Warren Hughes, not actually racing him for series points in GT4. Oh, and the white car there, that is the other WFR car. That's the GT3 Ginetta of Ricky Christodoulou, right behind Alex Bunkum's Nissan. The car that started on pole yesterday nearly won the race. This is the battle for 9th. Matt Bell's United Autosports Audi closing in behind, but it's the RJN Nissan under pressure. GT4 battle rages on. And so does the battle for fourth. Down the sequential box goes Dominic Evans, shares this car with Zoe Wenham. She's the only female driver in the series. Great view of real close cut and thrust racing. Little touch there with Radcliffe's yellow machine. Let's just loosen the nose a fraction. Hopefully that won't cause him a long-term problem. Back with our GT lead battle. Look how close this is. Phil Glue ahead of Alex Osborne by inches. Lotus versus Ginetta. This is a replay of the story of last year where Lotus was taking on the dominant Ginettas. And so far, Ginetta, courtesy of Team WFR, have won all 3 rounds of the championship. But the Lotus now in the driving seat. Nick Tandy racing away out front in GT3. The GT4 battle looks set to rage on. Welcome back to the Nurburgring, on board with Alan Simonson, chasing 7th place man Tim Harvey up to the last chicane on the lap. Simonson looking forward to racing in the 24 hours shortly after this. Meanwhile, Joe Osborne, the green and yellow Porsche, under pressure now for 4th place from Johnny Adams, 007 Aston Martin, the race 1 winner. Simonson having a little look right behind at Tim Harvey. Can't quite squeeze through. He's the 2nd best Ferrari at the moment. Matt Griffin in 6th place. You can just see the tail of the red car in front. Michael Caine lapping a GT4 Mazda. As down the inside comes Matt Griffin, takes 1, takes 2, up to 4th place. Will he hold on? Yes. And Johnny Adam also going the long way around Joe Osborne. Well, Adam was in 5th, stays in 5th, had to fight for it. Matt Griffin goes 6th to 4th. And the yellow and green Porsche, Joe Osborne from 4th to 6th. David Jones getting ready to take over the Merc from twin brother Godfrey. Charles Bateman ready for the Audi to come in. So the pit stop window about to open here at the Nürburgring. And in amongst the GT4 lead battle, there you can see Tim Harvey's Porsche, the black car. That is our GT4 leader, Phil Glue. Oh, and a big pall of smoke from the back of Warren Hughes' car. 2nd in the GT4 class at the moment, but I wonder, that looks pretty menacing. Enormous amount of smoke from that car. Well, there is Phil Glue trying to hang on. And the fast GT3 car storming through Matt Bell's Audi. Right behind him is Marcel Leipert in this LP600 Lamborghini. Great new entry to the series. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Mercedes, Audis, mouth-watering selection of machinery. And the teams are ready now to do their best. In comes Alex Buncombe, into Ricky Christodoulou, the battle for 9th and 10th. Through goes Matt Bell and Marcel Leipert on the inside. The orange and black Lambo's got a good run on him. Matt Bell tripping over the GT4 leading Lotus and nearly knocking him off. Now, who's got the legs down the straight? The Lamborghini has, and the inside line. He's got pace, he's got the place. Through goes Marcel Leipert. Moves up to 11th place. Alex Buncombe tosses his gloves out the way so he can help Jan Mardenborough. Mardenborough moves the seat forward, and Buncombe will tighten those belts up so the Welshman can barely breathe. In comes Dominic Evan to hand over to Zoe Wenham in the battle for 4th in the GT4 class. And out goes Jan Mardenborough. A year ago he was a PlayStation gamer, now he's a GT racer. Race leader in, Nick Tandy hands over to Steve Parrish, starting on pole, has led every metre so far. Let's see how that GT3 battle shapes up. In GT4, it is looking increasingly like Lotus could well be in charge here. Salesh Bolazetti has taken over from Phil Glue, leading the race. And this is the only track in the British GT calendar that Salesh has ever been to in his life. So he's feeling a lot more at home here than he was in cold, miserable Alton Park. They've got a strong lead, and Andy is in the pits with his teammate Phil Glue.
So, nice little lead you got there.
Yes, it was hard work, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Warren, I got past Warren early on, and then I don't know who was in the yellow car, but he was quick, very quick in a straight line, but I managed to fend him off and keep the lead. And then I think he made a mistake going into the last corner, which helped me a little bit, and you know, I managed to pull a bit of a better lead. So hopefully Salish now, with the pit stop penalty not going our way, hopefully he's got a bit of a lead now.
Well, the GT4 battle may well be under control, but in GT3 anything could still happen, and Andy's caught up with Richard Westbrook.
Here's the question, can he catch him?
Well, I think we've just got out in the lead. Question, can...
moot point.
Yeah, can Parrish catch Dave? And I don't know, it's going to be close between them. They're both really good amateur drivers. Yeah, our car feels much better today. We're much more comfortable. Nick was quicker in the first half of it. He really checked out, and then we really sort of came back and could have done with a few more laps then. But no, we're much happier than we were yesterday.
Team WFR's Ricky Christodoulou and Jody Firth look like they've retired, and Warren Hughes is chatting to them because there's his car. So the GT4 Championship leaders are out. Let's catch up with Jody Fannin.
Not looking the happiest. What's happened?
I think we've had a problem with the transmission at the back. We've had, I think we're probably on to get a podium. We'll win it, but what can you do? It's nothing we can do about it. It's just a mechanical problem, and hopefully we'll be all right in the next round.
Well, tough break for them. Really heartbreaking weekend for these guys. M-Tech. They discovered on Friday that their workshop manager, Dave Sparrow, had sadly passed away at work back home in the UK. But now look at this. This is the lead battle. The red Ferrari is M-Tech's Duncan Cameron, and he is challenging our 2010 British GT champion David Ashburn's Porsche. So really mixed emotions for the team. The loss of a dear friend and colleague, Dave Sparrow, known as the captain in the workshops. And now a chance perhaps as Duncan Cameron puts his nose inside the Porsche to see if they can post a win. Well, if they do, it'll be the fourth different winner from 4 races this season. British GT, tough to call this year. Ashburn still leads from Cameron, coming up behind the second place car in the GT4 class. So the leaders once more in amongst the GT4 runners, and that always poses problems for the leaders because you're the first to get to the back markers and they don't always keep their eyes on the mirrors. No dramas there for David Ashburn, but Duncan Cameron needs to find a way by quickly, and he does. Right on the tail of the race leader. Well, this could be a fascinating finish on board with our GT4 race leader, Salish Polizetti. And looking incredibly comfortable in the car this weekend. That's what a bit of familiarity does for you. Looking very comfortable as well is Duncan Cameron in the Ferrari. Not so is the defending leader. Oh, and he goes in too deep. David Ashburn leaves the door open. Duncan Cameron goes through and takes the lead of the race. David Ashburn outbraked himself comprehensively there, and through goes the Ferrari to lead. Well, goodness me, a fairy story might be on its way to coming true. Let's take a look again. David Ashburn in far too deep, no chance to reply. He's just trying to stay on the island, and through goes Cameron. Dramatic stuff further back. This is the Nissan-Audi battle for 5th. Charles Bateman, that car nearly won at Alton Park, of course, but ran out of fuel on the last lap. And Jan Mardenborough up to 5th place, could have won yesterday, but for a pit stop infringement. So 2 potential winners, definitely those 2 cars. What a last lap battle shaping up here. David Ashburn in the number 31 Porsche, just hanging on at the moment from Daniele Perfetti, who kicks up the dirt on the exit, running over the gravel, slows him off the corner. He doesn't get the traction, lots of wheel spin. Gives Ashburn a chance to breathe a sigh of relief. About 1.5 miles of Nurburgring tarmac between Ashburn and second place, or between Perfetti and second place. Which is it going to be? Ashburn defends well that time, really closes closes the door on Perfetti, parks the car on the exit of the corner. That'll make him slow. Will the Corvette in front be a factor? Coming up to the chicane with the white bonnet is Duncan Cameron. He is clear out front, but look, coming up the hill, Perfetti's trying to go the outside route again at the chicane. He's tried this once already. Oh, Ashburn's lost it. He's on the gravel. Log stops to log stops. Duncan Cameron is going to win the first race of the season for M-Tech. Who is going to be second? As the Ferrari team celebrate victory, it is David Ashburn ahead of Daniele Perfetti by inches. What a finish, and what an emotional win for M-Tech. This is for Dave Sparrow, the captain. GT4 victory for the first time this year, a new winner. It is Lotus Sport UK who claim the win. Confirmation of the result. Zoe Wenham and Dominic Evans second in GT4 behind the Lotus, but it's an emotional day for M-Tech, our race winners.
Well, that was fantastic.
Yeah, amazing race, really good. We left the pits, I think, in third or fourth after the pit stops. And I didn't really know where I was. I didn't ask. It was one of those races where I could just see I was catching cars, catch, pass, and I couldn't believe how much pace we were gaining on, because the Ferrari's not been quick here this weekend. We don't have much straight line pace, but yeah, towards the end of the race the car was still pretty good, and I crossed the line, and then I asked, where are we? And they were like, you're P1, you idiot.
Fellas, well done. That's a first win in GT4. Congratulations.
Thank you. It feels great. Phil, he's done a great job. He has done everything that I need to win this race. So all credit goes to him.
I mean, Phil was fighting off Ginettas and whoever else could come at you in the first round, and then in the second half it was survival of the fittest, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, by the time I took the car, I couldn't see anyone on the rearview mirror. I mean, Phil was fighting it out, but it was pretty comfortable for me. I just had to concentrate and make no mistakes.
Well, that makes it very tight indeed at the top of the GT4 class. And in GT3, 4 different winners from the first 4 races. We're still no closer to finding a champion.
You know how sometimes you can just sense that you're in for a treat? Well, this is one of those occasions as we get ready for the massive GT race here at Rockingham. We've got Porsches, Ferraris, Beamers, in fact, we've got it all, and they're all about to go head-to-head over 2 hours in a twisty circuit, which is just set up for some serious muscle car action.
So here we go then, ready for round 5 of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship in the Porsche with the yellow highlights. Steve Parrish races away at the line from Duncan Cameron's Ferrari, and he's strung the field out nicely. Cameron around the banking, closing in fast, goodness me, using the slipstream there as well as the speed of that 458 Italia. Cameron in second place. Up the inside of Hector Lester goes the Aston Martin, the white and blue car of Andrew Howard, moves from 5th to 4th. On board with Phil Glue in the Lotus, Warren Hughes in the Ginetta right in front of us. GT4 lead battle. Warren, canny candidate for running at the front of this field. Loads of experience in all sorts of sports cars. So the pole man just hanging on at the moment. Motorbase qualifying well, first and third, with the Ferrari separating them from a front row lockout with those 2 Porsches. And now you can see with the red highlights, number 11 Porsche trying to make a move, Daniele Perfetti, but the Aston Martin, Andrew Howard with the bit between his teeth and the headlights ablaze. Hector Lester drives around the outside in a Ferrari. Howard nips him off. Just behind that battle, we're with former champion David Ashburn in 6th position. Checks his mirrors because there's a queue of cars as Perfetti goes up the inside, and then loses it out on the outside as the corner switches back to the favour Duncan Cameron's Ferrari. A similar battle going on here in GT4, and on this tight Rockingham infield, the big GT3 cars are barely escaping at all from the GT4 front runners. Phil Glue still chasing. David Ashburn sweeping around the outside goes the GTR of Alex Buncombe, and the BMW there as well. And the BMW got doubly jumped there. Alistair McCain losing 2 places and might lose another to the Ginetta. No, he just manages to hold on. Phil Glue, nose inside, Warren Hughes under braking, good pass, uses the exit to cut the Geordie off, and he has the lead of GT4. Where to look next? Lead battle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars strong in GT3. At the moment, it is poleman Steve Parish out front. Here comes Perfetti in the black, white and red Porsche. And the Motorbase team very kindly using different highlight colours on their cars. See the leader, Steve Parish, with yellow. And now second place man, Daniele Perfetti, with those big red stripes. And again, around the outside, the number 3, Rosso Verde Ferrari, trying a move. But with David Ashburn showing us the Nissan has worked its way nicely up the order. Alex Buncombe using that GTR's power and performance superbly to push himself up from 9th on the grid. He's in 6th position now and challenging for more. So the Motorbase Porsches first and second. Don't forget, this is a 2-hour race, so most of these drivers will be knocking on each other's doors for an hour before getting any rest, and it's 3 wide almost into the braking area. A challenge for the lead from Daniele Perfetti. David Ashburn jumped on the inside by ex-Formula 3 race winner Ricky Christodoulou in that Ginetta, runs out wide, loses a bit of traction, holds the inside at the right-hander. So that's a change for 7th place. Ashburn was up to 5th from the start, now back down to 8th position. Daniele Perfetti has the lead in the Porsche with the red highlights. He's sneaked by Steve Parish, and Duncan Cameron tried to as well. Look at that, wheel-to-wheel behind for 4th. The Aston just holding on from the Nissan. Another wheel-to-wheel battle. 55 is Warren Hughes, 2nd in GT4, around the outside of John Dillon's Ferrari. And here is the battle for 2nd place. 21, Duncan Cameron defending hard from 007. The Aston Martin, and on the inside, is everything okay with David Ashburn? I think so, just taking a different line. Battle for 2nd place now in the GT4 class. James May's Ginetta chasing Warren Hughes. The Lotus you can just see in front, turning right out of shot. So that's the top 3 in the GT4 class. And there you can see the 69 car, James May, fighting off that Ferrari. Big black marks on the tarmac. Oh, and more black marks from behind, I'm afraid, Dominic Evans. Oh, and here is the battle for 2nd place, 3 wide. And it is Andrew Howard's Aston Martin ahead of Duncan Cameron's Ferrari. They both got by Steve Parish, and lots more battling going on behind. The black Nissan, Alex Buncombe, working very fast. He's come up the order. There's Hector Lester getting shuffled back a little bit. We're on board with David Ashburn, the former champion in his track speed Porsche. You can see Ricky Christodoulou's white Ginetta in front of him. That's back down 6th, 7th, 8th. And this is the battle now for 2nd place behind our race leader. Daniele Perfetti out front and pulling away as into the pits comes Alistair McKinnon from 3rd in the GT4 class in the black and gold Lotus. With 5 wheel nuts to undo, that's going to take a while. Challenge for 2nd is on. Alex Buncombe goes up to 2nd place in front of Andrew Howard's Aston Martin, who fights back immediately. This is Warren Hughes, 2nd place in the GT4 class in his Ginetta. Championship leader, of course, with Jody Fannin. They've won 3 races so far, but Lotus on top here, and Lotus won last time out in the Nurburgring, so could well be on for a battle royal between this pair and the Phil Glue-driven Lotus out front. Here comes the Nissan once more. Alex Buncombe absolutely flying. The RGN team look like they've gone with Buncombe, the paid professional, to start the race and put them into the lead, and he's lunging to the inside immediately. Catches Daniele Perfetti fast and passes him cleanly, and oh my goodness me! Andrew Howard from 3rd place at unabated speed slams into the wall, and that is going to bring out the safety car. Doors open, so he is out and okay, and he's out fast as well. Everybody else going by the wreckage. On board with David Ashburn, and you can see there are bits of Aston strewn everywhere. The safety car will come out to gather up the field because they are all going through there very much too quickly. Somebody's gone right over the bits of damaged bodywork as well. On the banking, you never have a small accident. There's your race leader, Alex Buncombe. And they are calling for medical assistance. I'm not surprised for Andrew Howard.
Andrew's not come round. Andrew's not come round.
Johnny Adam is not going to get a drive, and here's why. Car sitting down on the right rear, and the tyre lets go dramatically. Now that may have been debris, may have been a slow puncture, but either way, Andrew Howard was a passenger trying to brake and gather it up. Got rid of some of the energy before he slammed into the wall, but that is all the same a huge accident. Lights off on the safety car, ready to go back to green flag racing, but the pit window is open and in comes the leader. Freddie Hetherington in the white GTR follows in Alex Buncombe, but a lot of the front runners stay out. So Daniele Perfetti will take the flag as the leader right in front of the yellow car of Anthony Reid. Oh, and Buncombe is judging which pit was his. Jan Mardenborough in the background, ready to take over. And here comes the chevron of Anthony Reid. Invitational class, not fully homologated in GT3, but built to the same spec as the GT3 rules, and he now has the lead. Matt Bell just about to take over 23. The United Autosports Audi there. Piers Johnson will take over the number 4 Corvette. Points leaders Matt Griffin, Duncan Cameron, their Ferrari is in fuel only. Then you can do tyres and driver change after that. Oh, and drama for the GT4 leader. Phil Glue comes in with a Lotus that is well alight underneath, and he's going to park it right by a fuel gantry. Let's hope that he is aware of this, otherwise the team are going to have to act very fast with those fire extinguishers. That is well ablaze underneath. This is potentially a major problem. Oh, they do know it. The fire goes out fast, and just as well, look where the fuel hoses are, right above the Inferno. Well, Andy is in the pits. He's caught up with Andrew Howard.
Well, first of all, it's good to see you looking all right.
Fantastic medical centre at Rockingham, absolutely brilliant. They got me around really quickly, and they've gone through everything. You know, it's a testimony to the British circuits, the way the medical staff look after you. So thank you to them, most importantly, and the marshals. Got me off the track really well.
Absolutely. Talk us through the incident.
Well, we were at third. It seemed to be going fairly well. We were having a bit of problems with the yellow car. I was having a great dice with Duncan, and the car just let go. Fastest corner in British motor racing, just let go. It went round once. Like any true racing driver, the telemetry showing me trying to drive into it, so I'm turning in, so a bit optimistic, I think. Went round once, wall went past once, and I thought, hey, we might be on this. But unfortunately, when it came back round the second time, the wall was there. So, yeah, and then you just want to get out of the car. If anyone ever says it takes you long to get out of a car, that's rubbish. Really? Middle of the track, you get out of the car quickly.
Did it hurt?
The car is fantastic, so the car has really protected me and everything fine. We're going to be stiff in the morning. The impact your body takes through the belts, the hands device has done a brilliant job, which will protect from whiplash. We'll be sore tomorrow. It will be sore.
Yeah, it will be. That's about as big an accident as you ever want to sit through. Well, here is Jan Mardenborough, the Nissan GT PlayStation Academy driver, from sofa to race car in 12 months. He's out front in that GTR, and he's got a good margin as well. 2-hour race into the unknown for the RGN team with that car. Here's our GT4 leader now after their early stop, Zoe Wenham out front. Alex Osborne second, Jodie Fannin's taken over from early leader Warren Hughes, or leader after the fire of the Lotus at least, Warren Hughes. And Zoe Wenham, the only girl in the championship, and doing a solid job in that car as well. GT4 looks like it could be pretty competitive, but the Lotus needs a little bit better fortune. Team telling us now, apparently a broken drive shaft must have broken something and caused that fire for Phil Glue.
You thought you'd have a hot weekend, Phil, but you weren't thinking you'd catch fire.
No, it's a real shame that, because we were looking really strong. I'm gutted for the team, for Salish, who never even got a go in the car, and obviously for myself, who had done all the hard work. And there was only a couple more laps, and I was bringing it in anyway for Salish to have a go. So for the drive shaft to go, then it was a great shame. But that's motor racing, and unfortunately we didn't get a result today.
Oh, and a spin for Alex Osborne, and Jody Fannin is right there to go by the white Ginetta. And this now for the lead of GT4, because Zoe Wenham's had to come back into the pits. So there is Jody Fannin, the white Ginetta, and look at the GT3 car alongside it. That's the blue Ginetta G55. Jan Mardenborough down to the hairpin in the Nissan, and he outbrakes himself. Oh, goodness. Maybe watching the mirrors, but through goes Joe Osborne to take the lead of the race. Wow. Now then, talked about going into uncharted territory in the first 2-hour race of the season with the Nissan GTR. Are we now finding out things about that car? Michael Caine in the delayed 11 Porsche after a second pit stop just in front of Jordan Witt in the Chevron that led in the hands of Anthony Reid early on, showing great pace, and Anthony is down in the pits with Andy.
Your car is like a rocket ship, isn't it?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud as a British driver to be driving for such a famous brand as Chevron. If you look back at some of the famous drivers that have driven that car, like Jody Scheckter, Keke Rosberg, Nigel Mansell, the Chevron car over the years, and I'm following in their footsteps. It's a kind of rejuvenation for Chevron. It's their first new car in 30 years. This GT3 car is got huge potential, and I had such fun out there overtaking Porsches and stuff. It was great fun.
Here is a really hard battle. This now for third place. Oh, and Alan Simonson throws the Ferrari up the inside of the Nissan GTR. But Jan Mardenborough keeps his cool and comes right back at him to hang on to third. Why is it third? Because now Joe Osborne leads, and Phil Keane also got by the struggling Nissan, and it looks as though the Ferrari with the low line has the pass. He does. Alan Simonson up to third. Jan Mardenborough coming back at him. That GTR has got great top speed as well, and in the background with the white bonnet, 21. That is Matt Griffin's Ferrari. This is third, fourth and fifth. The two Porsches out front, just turning right in front of us. Oh, Griffin on the inside. Can't get the power on early enough because there's no room on the exit. Through he goes this time. No, Mardenborough power slides the car around the outside. Takes the place back at the left, and again into the pits comes Jordan Witt. This Chevron very quick, right front tyre problems. Oh, and Piers Johnson spins around. That's Stephen Jelly. Looked like the Porsche was up the inside of him. Jody Fannin leading in the GT4 class. Ian Warren Hughes fighting back now. The Lotus having gone out in the race. Chance for them to take win number 4 of the season. And here is Joe Osborne, our race leader. They just put a lap on Michael Caine. That red, white and black car led early on, of course. Phil Keane in second place is dropping away, though. And in the closing stages of this race, has he run out of tyres? Alan Simonson's red Ferrari, you can see in the back of the shot, closing fast. So Joe Osborne and Phil Keane in these two track speed Porsches need to hurry up a little bit. At the moment, with the cloverleaf on the bonnet, car number 3, Alan Simonson, the all-red Ferrari, looks to be quicker than both the Porsches. So too does Matt Griffin in that second Ferrari, but the question is there time? Leaders on the last lap. Joe Osborne across the line. Michael Caine's red, white and black Porsche is in the way of Phil Keane. Keane under the white line, can't get the power on. Now he does, but Michael Caine had nowhere to go on the banking. And here comes Simonson. Doesn't run into the back of the Porsche, but it was close. And Griffin is through as well. So Joe Osborne leads, Phil Keane's Porsche in second, and sideways under braking. Tail snaps out of line, he just wide. Simonson's number 3 Ferrari up the inside into second, yes, through he goes. Now what can Matt Griffin do? Is he close enough? Not quite yet. And I think Simonson, yes, he's going away quickly in 2 corners. Look, there's 2 car lengths between him and the struggling Phil Keane in 31. The Porsche may lose a podium spot here. Track speed lead with Joe Osborne. Second place for Rosso Verdi with Alan Simonson. Third for Track Speed. Fourth for the Scuderia Vittoria Ferrari. Ferrari and Porsche, Ferrari and Porsche. Where are all the rivals? Where's all the other manufacturers that are in front at the start? They have all faded. And Griffin pushing Keane through along behind the pits. Just 3 turns left. 2 turns left. 1 turn left for Joe Osborne. He's surely got to take victory. He's on the banking in front. It is the first British GT win for Joe Osborne and Steve Tandy. Second for Alan Simonson. Third will be, Phil Keane by inches. Well, GT4, who didn't lead, I think is the short question. Warren Hughes started this car on pole position. Phil Glue led in the Lotus until its dramatic departure from the race. Alex Osborne spun away a win he inherited from Zoe Wenham when she had to have a stop-and-go penalty because the team had pit-stopped too short. And then it was down to Jody Fannin to take the win, and he does for the 4th time in 2012. Well, confirmation of the result at the end of the 2-hour race at Rockingham. Third place went to David Ashburn, Phil Keane. Second, Hector Lester, Alan Simonson, Ferrari. But victory for Steve Tandy and Joe Osborne.
That's got to feel pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, when you see people come from so far back and they say they didn't see that coming, and I think that's one of those races. Yeah. We were P8 on the grid and we struggled with the setup of the car, so we dropped back, and I think in the pit stop we were 12th, and safety car, if there was ever some inspiration that we needed, that safety car helped us out.
Warren came in on the 50-minute mark, so I did an hour and 10. So yeah, it was hard, but luckily we got the win, so it's all worth it.
Confirmation of the points. Jody Fanning, Warren Hughes still lead GT4 now from Zoe Wenham, who moves up to second, and with 5 different winners from the 5 races, it's still anybody's championship. Currently Duncan Cameron, Matt Griffin top the pile. Ready for 2 hours of Brands Hatch, round 6 of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship. Everybody is on slicks, lights off on the safety car at the end of the rolling lap, and it is starting to rain already. Porsche of Steve Parish is the pole man from Duncan Cameron. On board right behind the pole sitter with Andrew Howard in what is effectively a brand new Aston Martin. And 2 hours of Brands in mixed conditions is going to be very trying. Nobody will want to jump immediately into the pits and change tyres before they absolutely have to make their driver change. Into the first corner on board with Hector Lester. Oh my goodness, one off already, that's John Dillon. And just manages to avoid the gravel trap. Will everybody avoid him? They do. Steve Parish leads, battle for second. Duncan Cameron with the Porsche of David Ashburn around the outside, on board with Alex Buncombe in the black Nissan. The Porsche in front, Daniele Perfetti going inside Andrew Howard. That's the battle for 4th place as John Dillon recovers from his early moment. Very damp indeed on track. Look at the marks that the tyres are leaving. That's going to make life very difficult indeed. Andrew Howard. Alex Buncombe goes through, and that is Luke Hines as well in the little white Ginetta, goes through the open door, and Andrew Howard struggling to get the power down in his V8 Aston Martin Vantage. Battle for the lead, Steve Parish with Duncan Cameron all over him. On board with Warren Hughes, leading in GT4. Look how early the brake lights come on the Corvette in front. Ron Johnson's got a lot of metal work to slow down the Ginetta, much lighter, much less powerful. And Hughes drives around the outside. He must be loving that, knowing him. There is our race leader, Steve Parish, in the Porsche, and a wheel-to-wheel battle for 3rd place. With the green highlights, David Ashburn, the former champion, loses out to Daniele Perfetti, and Alex Buncombe just drives around the outside of Ashburn into Sterling's Bend, using the banking to hold on. And through comes Luke Hines in the white Ginetta as well. On board again with Warren Hughes, change of lead in GT4. That's Mark Ticehurst in the Mazda MX-5. Warren squirms off the curbs, proving that power is not much good in these conditions. And goodness me, David Jones nearly topped that big Mercedes as well. Oh, and horror stories for Phil Burton. Car didn't qualify, and now he's got more dramas on his hands. It is Steve Parish that leads the race, still from Duncan Cameron as everybody tiptoes around. Here's the lead battle coming up to Druids. Parish, then Cameron in the Ferrari. And Alex Buncombe in 4th place, looking very strong in the Nissan, on board with Hector Lester. Ricky Christodoulou making up ground after starting at the back of the grid after qualifying problems in that GT3 Ginetta. And here is the battle for 2nd place. Ferrari of Duncan Cameron twitching as he tries to accelerate. Daniele Perfetti using all the traction of the rear engine Porsche, and on the inside Alex Buncombe as well. Goodness me, he takes an opportunity well, doesn't he? Alex up to 3rd place, as the Predator team just cannot believe their luck. Every time something different goes wrong with this car, they just can't get a break. Well, let's take a look at how it all happened. Very wet conditions. There go the GT4 leaders, and just looping around, contact with the barriers for Phil Burt. Lead battle continues up at Hawthorne Bend. Porsche versus Porsche. There is contact. Daniele Perfetti touches the back of Steve Parrish, and Alex Buncombe driving around the outside of 1, up into 2nd place, looking for a move on the race leader now. Buncombe having an epic race already in this Nissan. They're getting so annoyed that winds escape them around the outside, and Sheen corner, surely not, can't quite find the traction to do that. But the Nissan is looking very strong indeed. And for traction, it even has the Porsche's beat, and that takes some doing. So our race leader, Steve Parrish, feeling the pressure. He drifts out wide. Buncombe knew he was going there. He was always looking to come up the inside. Struggles to keep the traction, get the power down, but he's got the lead. Buncombe is already pulling away 2, 3, 4 car lengths from Steve Parrish. 3rd place, Daniele Perfetti, and the GT4 leader is in front of us. It's that metallic green Jota Sport Mazda MX-5 as we ride with Warren Hughes. Well, goodness me, if it continues to drizzle like this, it is going to be so greasy out there that almost anything could happen. Battle for 10th, Benji Hetherington around the outside of Alistair McCaig's BMW. And Hector Lester dicing with Jake Rattenbury's Ginetta, always cautious in slippery conditions, and through goes the GT4 leading Mazda. What a giant killing day they will have in GT4 if this weather continues as well, because the less powerful GT4 cars are more able to use their horsepower. The Aston there dropped 10 places, now down to 13th. Ferrari of Hector Lester trying to come back on the inside against the Mazda of Mark Ticehurst, but as Warren Hughes watches, the Ferrari can squirt down the straights, it just can't get the traction through the corners. Back in front of the Mazda, down through Pilgrim's Drop, and here comes Hughes, again trying to find some traction. There is your race leader, Alex Buncombe, has not pulled away now from Steve Parrish, who's settled back down into his rhythm, and it seems to be raining much harder through Dingle Dell. Wipers flapping away on the screens of most of the cars, and that of course means that as conditions change, the circuit is different every time the drivers get to it. There is Mark Ticehurst right behind Warren Hughes, the white Ginetta. This is the battle for the GT4 lead, just as intense in this class as it is in GT3 for the outright race lead. Everybody on slicks on a wet track. Oh, and that's Duncan Cameron, the man who started on the front row of the grid, looped the Ferrari around from 5th position, and that promotes this battle on the outside there. That's the Audi of Charles Bateman. Oh, it looks like Cameron, oh, he has got the engine fired up once more in that 458 Italia. This is Ricky Christodoulou. This is the battle for 5th position. It's about 7 cars long. Christodoulou coming from the back of the grid in the Team WFR GT4 Ginetta. Benji Hetherington on the inside of David Jones. Ooh, and contact there. Dive plane flying off the nose of the Nissan. Christodoulou right behind the BMW Z4 of Alistair McCaig. Ooh, just had a little lift on the gas there as he got a wobble going on the straight. I think he thought that McCaig was cutting across on him. That's no place to make a mistake down in Pilgrim's Drop. Battle for 3rd place there. Red, white and black Ferrari of Daniele Perfetti versus Luke Hines in the Ginetta. The Ginetta's looking pretty strong here in these mixed conditions. Wipers off just about everywhere. The little shower seems to have passed, and Alex Buncombe now being pressurised once more by the car that took pole, Steve Parrish. And there is the GT4 battle. 3rd place in GT4, the 69 car. Alex Osborne spun at Paddock on the opening lap, in fact, right behind him in 19th, Duncan Cameron, who spun, started 2nd place in that Ferrari. Alex Buncombe, the race leader, still under pressure from Steve Parrish. Daniele Perfetti with Luke Hines all over him. The Ginetta going really strongly on what is a rapidly drying track. How will that change the balance out front? 5th place, David Ashburn, as around the outside of John Minshaw. For 6th goes the Audi of Charles Bateman. This is 2nd place in the GT4 battle. Alex Osborne looking very racy, up the inside at Druids, underneath Warren Hughes, and through he goes. He must be livid after spinning early on. Oh, and talking of spins, that's the 2nd place car, or at least it was. Steve Parrish, the pole man, has looped it around at 30. He's easily done. Oh dear, did he tag the barriers there on that wet grass? Alistair McKaig in the BMW fighting a rear guard action there, isn't he? Trying to hold off Ricky Christodoulou's blue Ginetta, and Andrew Howard now feeling the force is strong within him. There is some grip for the Aston Martin. Look on the windscreen though, you can still see it's drizzling a little as the rain goes up the screen. Daniele Perfetti's Porsche in 3rd place, and look at that, David Jones in the Mercedes. He's got contact marks at the back, somebody's been into him. But he's having a really good run now. There is some grip. Compare that to a few laps ago when the car nearly just skated off all 4 wheels. And here's the battle for the GT4 lead. Mark Ticehurst in the Mazda, feeling the pressure from Alex Osborne. Osborne really with the bit between his teeth. This Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit really seems to suit the Ginettas, either in GT4 or GT3 mode. And Osborne having a little twitch there, just asking a fraction much of it. Mazda looks nicely settled. Jota just down the road in Kent. They'll really hope for a good result here. Looks like he's been outpowered down the straight. Can he cling on? No. Alex Osborne slides wide and just saves it. Ticehurst back up the inside. Can't quite retake the lead. So the 69 cars spinning away on lap 1, now in the lead of GT4. And Warren Hughes is on board showing it's still treacherous. And was that Hector Lester facing the wrong way? I think it was. In contact. There is green Porsche on the front of Duncan Cameron's car. And that looks like a puncture in the offing. Steve Tandy's Porsche, winner last time out, very heavily damaged. And I think Cameron might need to come into the pits as well. So much really vital cooling equipment around the front. There's the Lotus off on the side of the track we saw as well, and it is spewing out vital fluids. That is surely going to be the end of the race for the Cameron Ferrari. Well, let's take a look, and this all comes from Hector Lester's spin. On board with Hector, onto the grass and the wet curbs, around he goes, and the debris in the track, that is from the collision right behind. Wow, drama everywhere. Daniele Perfetti with David Jones into the side of him. Tried to close the door at Druids. Jones couldn't hold the line tight enough. Clatters into the number 11 car. Through goes the Audi of Charles Bateman. Bateman's in 3rd. And through went the Nissan into 4th. Selesh Polizzetti looks accusingly at the Lotus. It's broken down again. Battle for 2nd in the GT4. It's happening everywhere. Warren Hughes on the inside of Mark Ticehurst's Mazda and goes by the MX-5. It's now Ginetta's 1 and 2 in class. Well, the safety car coming out. Well, that's Daniele Perfetti, who is still in the gravel trap. Nissan safety car picks up the Nissan leader, Alex Buncombe. Luke Hines behind him in that Ginetta, and everybody else bringing the speed right down. Well, here's how it happened. It was up to Druids. Daniele Perfetti leading the silver Mercedes here of David Jones. Jones has a lunge to the inside, and it just doesn't come off. Ricky Christodoulou in 15 now, drifting a little wide. Up the inside comes the BMW. This is a change for position. Alistair McKay up to 7th place, and through goes Andrew Howard to 8th. Christodoulou down to 9th position. Got David Jones behind him in the silver Mercedes, having already been through the pit lane. They have not made their compulsory pit stop yet. Of course, Andrew Howard with the Aston needs to go right to halfway before making a pit stop if he can, as it will need as much fuel in the tank as possible. Buncombe and Hines 1st and 2nd. Here's the battle for 3rd. Charlie Bateman in the Audi, Benji Hetherington having the best run in that car. Two really big stories in this top 4. The performance of Luke Hines in his Ginetta and Benji Hetherington in that Nissan, both having comfortably their best runs so far. Alex Buncombe out front. It's a position this black RGN GTR has been in a few times. They've never had had this amount of pressure from behind from a Ginetta before. If Alex Buncombe can hand over the lead all through. Great move by Alistair McKagan. Sterling's bender, Hetherington in the barriers. Oh my goodness, now he must have touched the curb or the grass on the exit of Sterling's and gone off heavily. That is a lot of debris, a lot of damage, and a real shame. Back to racing again at Brands, but the pit stop window is now open. Tim Harvey beckons in John Minshaw, and as everybody now starts to come in, it looks nice and clear and dry overhead. Here's your race leader, Alex Buncombe, just from the white Ginetta of Luke Hines. Johnny Adam gets ready for Andrew Howard to bring the Aston in. That car recovering after dropping down the order in the slippery conditions. In comes the number 007 machine. Johnny Adam will help out his teammate. Close the door, do the fueling, and tyres are there if they're required. Damage on the back as Steve Tandy examines the 32 Porsche, but it looks raceable still. Joe Osborne being strapped in now, he's getting new front tyres. And in comes David Jones to hand over to twin brother Godfrey, and that is not going to polish out in a hurry. Damage front and rear on their Mercedes SLS. A car that has really not lived up to their hopes in a year and a half of racing. Jan Mardenborough bouncing up on his toes. When the Jones brothers bought that car, he was still a PlayStation gamer. Now he is trying to win a race in British GT for real. Alex Buncombe brings the Nissan in from the lead, as in Rockingham. Can they stay in front for the remainder of the race? The Welshman will be feeling a little more pressure perhaps this time. Here is our overall race leader though. It's the number 69 car of Alex Osborne. Spun early on, took the GT4 lead, stays out long, and here's our outright leader. Now the Mazda that led GT4 early on is just leaving the pits. Owen Mildenhall is in it, which means Andy is with Mark Ticehurst.
Excellent weekend for you, isn't it? Yeah, it's amazing what 2 weeks can bring, really. You know, the guys have worked relentless on the car. It started off live doing British Endurance last year. We've had such massive fundamental changes, and Rockingham didn't really go our way. But this time round, it is heading our way. And you know, Owen's out there doing a good job. My first stint, we were leading on the first lap, which was fantastic. Little MX-5 GT's coming on a long way.
Well, problems for Tim Harvey. He was in third place. He slowed right down. He's coming with a left rear puncture, and that has put the end to a great run for the number 33 car. And there's so much debris from earlier incidents, that's not a surprise. Jan Mardenborough still leads in the Nissan just, and that means that Alex Buncombe is in the back of the garages, and he's caught up with him.
Well, what more can you do?
Don't know, to be honest with you. Just hope other people don't crash, really, and cause unfortunate safety cars for us. No, it's a big shame for us, really. It's unfortunately happened again. I mean, we were going to send Jan to start the race and me to finish, but we thought we'd stick to what we know and hope there's not a safety car, but I thought there wasn't going to be, but unfortunately that wasn't the case, and yeah, our lead was gone again, but we're still in the lead, so that's all we can do, and we've got a bit of a gap to the BM, and then there's quite a big gap back to third, so Jan's just got to do his thing. He was extremely fast in qualifying, so at the end of my stint the tyres were good, so yeah, there's no reason why he can't hold off the BM.
On board with Jan Mardenborough, right in front of us is the GT4 lead battle. James May in front of Jody Fannin, the 69 and 55 cars. Points leader Fannin attacking hard. James May smoking a little bit. Jan Mardenborough down the inside of both of them. Does he get away with it in Sterling's Bend? Yes, he does. Safely through for the Nissan. And Jody Fannin will be smelling that smoke from the back of the car in front of him and relishing it, because it means that his rival has got a potential problem. Now is the time to harass him in the BMW. Ollie Bryant at the top of the screen. That is the second place car, but the fastest man on track, Johnny Adam in the Aston Martin in third place, is closing on him. With Jody Fannin, the BMW right behind. Look in the mirrors. You can see the BMW comes up the right-hand side. Fannin goes inside first, though, and Ollie Bryant has to wait to get by. Change for the GT4 lead. And looping around James May, trying to get on the throttle and counter-attack, and just spins it off Druids. No damage done. take a look again. Just a little too eager on a tight line out of Druids with the throttle. And he hopefully will be able to continue in the race. Wow, now what a grandstand finale we are coming up against. Jan Mardenborough leads in that black and red Nissan as they go by the laps number 42 Ginetta. In second place, the BMW is Ollie Bryant. Third, 007 is the fastest man in Brands Hatch, Johnny Adam. For a car that didn't even turn a wheel after a full chassis rebuild in a brand new shell before free practice, it has really got some pace. Andrew Howard and the team have put a few little updates into the car and it works even better for him. Doesn't seem to be holding Johnny Adam back either. Jan Mardenborough might win this race. Ollie Bryant might win this race. Johnny Adam might win this race. Fourth place is George Murrells in a Ginetta. So Porsche and Ferrari struggling. Best Porsche, Nicola Armindo in David Ashburn's car is in fifth place. But can Johnny Adam get by the BMW? Can Jan Mardenborough hold on? If he does, he's got to negotiate all these obstacles. And watching breathlessly on the pit wall, Andy is with Andrew Howard.
It's starting to get very exciting, isn't it?
It's been exciting for the last 45 minutes. We've just gone purple in the last sector again. He is driving the stint in his lifetime. Unbelievable. He might just do this.
I should probably leave you to concentrate on the finish, but this is getting very, very exciting.
Well, we try and plan it. You know, from a racing point of view, we like to leave it to the last lap, but don't tempt fate. Let's not tempt fate.
Well, hopefully we'll see you up there later. Well, we'll leave it like that. How about that?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, we're just looking for a finish.
I'll tell you what, Andrew Howard might be looking for a finish. Johnny Adam is not looking for a finish. Johnny Adam is looking for a win. He attacks Ollie Bryant once more. The leader has just gone by, the Mazda MX-5 in the GT4 class, and it's right in front of them now as Johnny Adam launches up the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. Does he get second down? He does. Can he get inside the Mazda up to Druids? He can. And I think he has sealed that one over Ollie Bryant in that BMW Z4. 2 hours of racing, wet weather conditions that cause chaos at the start, 2 safety cars, and we come down to 3 cars within a second of each other in the closing few minutes. There is more smoke still coming out of the back of James May's second place car in GT4, but let's turn our eyes to the lead battle now. Last lap of this race. Jan Mardenborough could have won in Rockingham, could win in Brands Hatch, but Johnny Adam, the fastest man on the track, can he get by the young Welshman? Real pressure now for the GT Academy graduate Jan Mardenborough on the brink of winning his first ever British GT race. The RGN team will barely be able to breathe. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Johnny Adam is all over the back of him. Mardenborough's got the tight line. Here comes Johnny Adam. Where's the flag? There it is. And it was just the Nissan. Surely it was just the Nissan. Johnny Adam was passed him by Paddock Hill Bend, but it is by 22 thousandths. Bob Neville is thrilled in the headset there. It is the Nissan that wins it, and Jody Vannin takes the GT4 victory. Well, this we hear is the closest ever British GT win. That's 22 thousandths of a second. Well, I think we could all do with a lie down in a cool room, couldn't we? Third for the BMW, second for the Aston, but finally victory for Nissan's Alex Buncombe and Jan Mardenborough.
Fellas, what can I say? That was one heck of a tussle. Firstly, did you know how close he was?
Yeah, he was right beyond the BMW, and the guys with the radio kept on telling me he was catching the BM, and about 4 laps to go, it was hard. And I thought he got me at the line, and I was defending into the last corner, and I just knew I was going to get a bad exit, and thankfully I just edged it. But it was a great race.
Oh, it was a terrific race. It's a finish like that has never been had in British GT. Well done, firstly, but 100 metres more and it was yours?
Yeah, we kind of got the run out the last corner, but not a testament to the team. Also, we've had to rebuild a new car since Rockingham, and the car's been good all weekend, but that last 45 minutes was like qualifying for me. It was on the, on the limit every single corner, because I knew these guys were up front and I had to push the catch. Another corner, maybe another lap, and maybe I got there, but overall, happy with second.
Let's take a look at the points. Warren Hughes, Jody Fannin still leading in GT4. Half a point separates our Nissan duo from the non-scoring Cameron and Griffin as David Ashburn takes the series lead away from Brands.
Hello and welcome to Snetterton for round 7 and 8 of the British GT Championship. Now this track should be pretty exciting with its tight infield and fast straights. We should see some exquisite action.
So for race 1 at Snetterton, it was David Ashburn on pole ahead of Daniele Perfetti. It was a clean getaway as the field charged into the first corner. But it wasn't long until the new McLaren took the lead, hotly pursued by the Aston Martin until Andrew Howard spun out of second place. GT4 was equally tight, Lee Mole overcooking it as he battled with title hopeful Zoe Wenham. Jan Mardenborough collided with David Ashburn before the Nissan retired. In the busy pit lane, newcomer Harry Prosjic had a run-in with the GT4 leaders. It was a close-run thing. Later, Warren Hughes would run into problems, and that left Dominic Evans and George Murrells battling for GT4 top honours. Whereas their rival Alex Osborne finished his race in the wall. In the end, it was mechanical disaster for Evans, a broken drive shaft robbing him of the win, but he took second as George Murrells claimed the top spot in GT4. And a dominant display by the United Autosports McLaren made them our 7th different winners of the season. For confirmation of the race 1 result, Lee Mole and George Murrells, brand new winners in the GT4 category, and the McLaren MP4, brand new winners outright at Snetterton.
Just a brilliant result, a great, a release after the year that we've had, because we've come so close so many times, and been third twice and in the lead, and it hasn't come to be, so just great to finally get the win.
It's time for the last race of the day here at Snetterton, and let me tell you, this track has seen some serious water. In fact, it's still quite damp on course. You may remember from the first race, the Nissan did incredibly well to start with and then didn't manage to finish. So what's it got to get through if it wants to place this time round? Well, the track favours Porsches, and there are 4 at the front.
Bright sunshine at the moment, a respite from the torrential rain at Snetterton, getting ready for the rolling start. Round 8 of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship. On the left with the red highlights, poleman Tim Harvey, the first of 4 Porsches as they surge across the line for the final hour of racing here. On board with Richard Westbrook, he was in 6th position. Porsches all responded well in the wet-free practice. Qualifying was a total washout, so free practice times set the grid. Porsches had plenty of traction early on. Well, Tim Harvey has the lead then. Right behind him, Joe Osborne with the yellow highlights. Michael Caine in 3rd place. And there, number 24 is the United Autosports McLaren on board with Geordie Matt Bell. Well, what a start to their career with this brand new car. 1 race, 1 win under their belts already. Part exchanging the Audi looks like a good call. Track's dry, but it is treacherously wet offline, and right out on the grass, you are not going to slow down at all. So the drivers will have to be very cautious around this windy Snetterton 300 circuit layout. 5th place, the black Nissan, Alex Buncombe. Top Ferrari there, the red car of Aaron Scott in 7th place for Scuderia Vittoria. A bit of a jumbled up grid, and great to see the Lamborghini LP600 back out again. On board with Harry Prosjic, he is right behind the Aston Martin. Johnny Adam at the wheel of the 007 machine. This new Snetterton layout, a combination of some very fast straights and some very heavy braking, like down here into Nelson's. Left-right sweeps, really hard on the car's brakes. Race leader Tim Harvey has seen this track in many different guises of sports car and, of course, British Touring Car Championship racing. And He is a real expert here. Meanwhile, on board with Richard Westbrook, started 6th, he's up to 4th, but a big handful of opposite lot there as he has to get onto the brakes, trying to catch Michael Caine in front of him, the former TVR Tuscan champion. Westbrook, of course, former Porsche Super Cup champion. Knows plenty about racing 911s, also races Corvettes in the American Le Mans Series. Tim Harvey, the race leader, from Joe Osborne. Battles all the way down the order. There's the Lamborghini in front of the Aston, and the 007's bonnet has popped open, and that is obscuring their view. Battle for third place in GT4, that's Dominic Evans in front of us. We ride with Alex Osborne. Damage already on the left front corner of the car, and that's not all from the previous race either. Looks like it's been a bit of a bruising affair early on. It's a tight battle of cars that Alex Osborne leads now. Dominic Evans behind him. There you can see the green Mazda. Owen Mildenhall, 47, right behind. The Aston Martin of Phil Keane, the new car, 53. Alex Osborne's damage came on the opening lap. Right in front of us, the GT4 pole sitter. That's Warren Hughes in the white car. We go around the outside. Bunches up in front, but inside comes the Mazda to take the lead. Hughes gets on the brakes, and boink, our bonnet is already damaged. Here's the battle for 6th place. Number 10, the yellow highlights on Benji Hetherington's Porsche. He's in front of Ollie Milroy in the BMW, making his debut in British GTs. Then the Ferrari, the second Ferrari in this queue, that's Matt Griffin and Michael Caine on the inside in the 11 Porsche. Contact again, this time on the other side, and oh, the gentlest of dinks into the barriers. Michael Caine lucky to get away with that one as well. That time that was his error, I think. Trying to pick up 8th place from Matt Griffin, and found the door closing a little too fast. Here is our 1, 2, 3. Tim Harvey leading the race still. Joe Osborne in 2nd, and Richard Westbrook in 3rd place is closing in on them. Drive-through penalty for the Nissan. The team did a couple of laps to check out the ABS system before the race started, incurred the wrath of the stewards. Predator Ferrari, Adam Wilcox, the 04 British GT champion. As out comes the Nissan behind him, and in front of the Ron and Piers Johnson Corvette. And that is going to greatly anger Alex Buncombe. A penalty that was not of his making. And the Nissan was looking strong early on. And Buncombe fired up. I'm sure he'll want to try and push their way back up the order. On board with Matt Bell, coming into the pits in the race 1, winning McLaren. And we hear he's got a problem with the brakes and has been off the circuit. Matt Bell comes in. Now, is that a fixable problem? One thing having a car that won't start and that won't stop is twice as deadly. On board with Matt Bell, let's take a look at this then. Now he left foot brakes, so watch his left leg. Pushing really hard, really hard as he goes off. And Andy's caught up with his teammate, Charles Bateman.
Well, this isn't looking great.
No, it seems that Matt's really struggling with the brakes at the moment. So, you know, we've had to bring it in and see what we can do, because obviously no brakes is quite dangerous. So we're going to see if we can sort it out and, you know, see what happens.
Back at Snetterton and right into the battle in GT4 for 2nd place, 55 the white car. Warren Hughes straight across the bows of Alex Osborne. Well, they've both got damage from where Osborne ran into the back of Hughes in the 2nd corner. And that was nearly an awful lot more damage as the Geordie lunged and just couldn't handle the pace. Owen Mildenhall in the green Mazda right behind them. Here is our lead trio. Tim Harvey, Joe Osborne, 33, 32 and 31. Richard Westbrook, and Westbrook still looking impatient to get by his teammates. Inside Osborne. Just a little bump there as well. So he knows that Westy is there. And don't forget, track speed with a 1, 2, 3, but their cars were all but written off in a freak accident last year. That's something that they will want to avoid repeating. This takes a bit of pressure off Tim Harvey. Westbrook, same corner as he lunged on Caine, lunges again of his teammate. And gets away with that one. Come on, he's saying the Ferrari is catching, and he's right. They do need to get on with it a bit. Westbrook pushing hard still. Oh, he's on the dirt, and he's onto the grass, and here comes the barriers. Oh dear, that is not good news, and especially not good news for David Ashburn, his teammate. Well, Westbrook spat off the mud, and the car was never going to stop in time, and the championship leader's hopes of scoring are now nil. Back with this battle in GT4, Warren Hughes really pushing hard, and Alex Osborne pushing just as hard in front of him. The car's looking very second-hand, all the way down the gearbox to the hairpin. And Warren Hughes really attacking hard. He and Jody Fannin looking strong for the championship title. And Zoe Wenham's car is down in 6th position in GT4 at the moment, their closest rival. She needs a really good race, and at the moment, they just don't seem to be having it. Battle coming up behind them, though, with Benji Hetherington in the Porsche might interrupt this, because that's the battle for 4th on the road. Oh, and a mistake there from Osborne. The car bobbled mid-corner. Not sure if it missed a gear or fluffed on pickup from the engine, but through goes Hughes. He's up to 2nd. And now here come the quick boys, the GT3 cars that will gobble them up. So you'll see blue flags, blue lights being waved and shown to the GT4 drivers. On board with Harry Proschik, his first start in British GT in this Lamborghini LP600. And he's having a really good run. Goes right by the Ginetta. And he's chasing down the Ferrari in front. Oh, and he's having a look up the inside, and Matt Griffin can't get through there, though. He has got by Warren Hughes. Battle is rejoined. The Ferrari V8 mid-engined, and the Lamborghini V10 mid-engined. Jan Mardenborough about to take over the Nissan. Alex Buncombe's handed it over. Michael Caine brings in his Porsche. And in for a driver change and a fairly healthy attack with a tank tape to try and hold that front corner together is the car that's 3rd in the GT4 class, and the Aston comes in. Steve Chaplin takes over from Phil Keane in this new GT4 Aston. Owen Mildenhall out, Martin Ticehurst in, as off goes Daniele Perfetti. And the car started by that man, Michael Caine.
And he moved over, and he just put me on the grass, and I was on the mark.
Perfetti back out and into the thick of the action, and Andy's with Michael Caine.
Now that was rather eventful, wasn't it? A couple of little spins going on.
Yeah, a bit different to race 1. Yeah, no, we went up to the hairpin, and Westy went for the dive up the inside, and I just gave him a bit of room, and then he decided to hook it in on the curb and just physically drive me straight out onto the grass. So there was, I had full lock on, and I was still going grasswards. So so that was the first one. Car felt great, and got a really good run on the back straight for the Ferrari. Went to outbrake him, and he just turned in, and we just glanced. I mean, it literally was just the softest of touches, but unfortunately it sent the car round, and that was that one. And then got back to the Nissan in exactly the same place, and he moved me left onto the grass, and I braked a bit earlier, but literally there was just nothing there. I mean, literally, I don't know whether it's slightly damp down there, and there was no way I was stopping. So that was that one.
Well, the Chevron also into the pits. We saw our GT4 leader, the yellow car, George Murrells, and Lee Mole in the pits. It's been smoking, and there it is, and they're taking the left rear tyre off. I wonder if they've got a bit of a suspension problem. New to the championship, the FF Corsa 458 Challenge Ferrari, and out go our race leaders. That's as far as they've been apart all the way through this race. Tim Harvey's handed over the lead car to John Minshaw. Jan Mardenborough in the Nissan in 6th position, and now right with Steve Parrish in the number 10 car that was started by Benji Hetherington. And the Nissan driver looking in very determined mood. The young Welshman, he's in real Welsh wizard mode here. That win at Brands, And that means that they are absolutely certain now they could take more, and he's got a good run going. He's got the inside line, and there's no way, I think, that the Porsche will hold him off. No, through he goes, up to 5th position. Across the line, still with the race lead, John Minshaw. First time he's ever led in British GTs. He and Tim Harvey were 3rd on the podium at Minshaw's home track at Alton Park in race 2 of the series. Race 8, they could be our 8th different winner if they continue to pull away from the rest of the field the way that John is doing now. And with Tim Harvey is Andy.
It's looking pretty good, isn't it?
Oh, that's a kiss of death, isn't it?
That's why I said it.
It's a long way to go, and John's never been in this position before, so I'm just fingers crossed that we can just keep him calm and no mistakes. But you know, yeah, it's a great position to be in. But you know, I've been on the end of too many last lap disasters to count my chickens.
Well, it's not the last lap yet, but there might still be a problem with those chickens because the leader is slowing. John Minshaw with the red highlights on his car has been caught by Steve Tandy, and Tandy in the number 32 track speed Porsche trying to go by like Richard Westbrook was at the beginning of the race. He has taken the lead though, and without too much drama. Minshaw has been on the radio, and apparently there is a problem with the car picking up out of the corners. They think they are going to be able to fix it to finish the race, but the lead has changed hands, and here is the battle for 3rd. John Dillon, Scuderia Vittoria, back on the pace with that Ferrari, but Jan Mardenborough in the Nissan all over the back of him. And Mardenborough having a look into the first corner for 3rd place, and through he goes. And that was no contest. Mardenborough straight by John Dillon. James May radioing into the team. They've only got 3rd and 5th gear in that car, in 4th in GT4, but being caught fast by Zoe Wenham, who's 2nd in the points. She really needs a big result. There she is. And her car, unlike that of James May, and the leader, Warren Hughes and Jodie Fannin's car, that's pretty undamaged. Big lock up in front from May. Tim Harvey, former British Touring Car Champion, and David Ashburn, 2010 British GT Champion, waiting as the last lap continues. Steve Tandy leading the race from John Minshaw and Jan Mardenborough. Mardenborough in the black Nissan all over the back of Minshaw's 33 Porsche. Could this be a change for 2nd spot on the last lap? The Welshman is really fired up. John Minshaw will do well to hold him off here if the car is still unwell, but it looks as though the team have managed to radio through instructions to keep it running, presumably changing onto reserve fuel pump or similar, and he keeps his nose in front down the straight, and that's vital, because now, once they get through the bomb hole, there is realistically only Coram Curve. See the way the Nissan gobbles up the Porsche there. He is all over the back of Minshaw, having to get on the brakes to avoid ramming him from behind. Can he make the move into the final corner? No, there's just no room. Well, we're not going to get an 8th different winner, but we are going to get our first 2-time winners. Victory as Steve Tandy brings the car across the line. He and Joe Osborne, the first 2-time winners of the series. GT4 winners for the 6th time this year. Jodie Fannin and Warren Hughes extend their GT4 advantage. But here, out of the last corner, comes Zoe Wenham. This is for 4th place in GT4. She goes by James May, and that extra point or 2 might be critical in her chase for the title. Confirmation of the GT4 win then for Jodie Fannin and Warren Hughes. Disappointment for John Minshaw and Tim Harvey, but our first 2-time winners are Steve Tandy and Joe Osborne.
Well, what can I say other than the first car to have done that twice this season?
Is that so? Okay,
yeah.
Brilliant, yeah. Well, thanks for a great first stint from Joe, and kept it nice and clean, and brought the car in, and it was obviously nothing between us and the 33 car. And yeah, as I said earlier on, it was John got away from me, pulled out about a 5-second lead, and I just hauled him in all of a sudden. So he clearly had a bit of a problem, and he came back at me later on, but I was able to keep him at bay, and yeah, so brilliant.
Well, it should have been a first, but the problem we had is 4 laps from the end, fuel pressure went, no drive out of the corners, radioed through, and you know, they told me what to do, but it took a while for the fuel pressure to pick up again. In the meantime, Steve had caught me. I let him through because there was no way, there was nothing to defend, and the car just lit up again, and I got back on Steve's tail, but it was too late.
Confirmation of the points then. Jody Fanning, Warren Hughes looking strong in GT4, but with 2 races remaining, there are just 2 points covering the top 3 teams. David Ashburn's lead, half a point.
Well, congratulations to Joe Osborne and Steve Tandy. They've made it onto the big step. Tell you what, though, the championship is still wide open. So what have we got next? Well, we're in Silverstone.
So here we go, ready for the rolling start. Round 9 of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship. 3 hours of the Silverstone circuit. On pole, the Ferrari of Duncan Cameron. The white and blue Beech Dean Aston of Andrew Howard alongside him. Ricky Christodoulou third on the grid. A gap where David Ashburn should be on row 2. Nobody's in fourth, ahead of Charles Bateman and Lawrence Tomlinson in the orange Ginetta, and away they go. 3 hours of racing then, and that should be somewhere over the 80 laps mark. Into the first corner we go, and everybody keeping their noses clean so far. No, I spoke too soon, and it is Andrew Howard in the Beech Dean Aston. Leaving the pit lane is David Ashburn. Oh my goodness, don't stack it before you even get on the track, David. Championship leader, and he joins at the tail of the field. Going to be a long afternoon. Through the Beckett's S's. Watch the silver Mercedes there, the Jones twins. I wonder if the Grand Prix circuit will suit them. McLarens, Porsches, Audis. Onto the hangar straight for the first time with Alex Buncombe in the Nissan. Well, that's the McLaren of Charles Bateman right in front as they battle for third. Behind them, the orange Ginetta of Lawrence Tomlinson. There is Daniele Perfetti, the number 11 Porsche, ahead of Marco Attard. Closing up behind them from 16th on the grid. Godfrey Jones in the Mercedes is really rumbustious in this opening lap. Ooh, battle under braking. The McLaren trying to go around the inside-outside route. Still on the inside of the McLaren. Good run from Alex Bunker, but the McLaren has the power on. And right behind is Lawrence Tomlinson in that orange Ginetta. So Alex will have to pick and choose his lines carefully if he wants to attack and not lose places. Big squabble here for 7th. 32 Steve Tandy ahead of Daniele Perfetti in the Porsche, the yellow car. That's the GR8 of Jordan Witt, the Chevron. Piling down here into the braking area around the outside. Very late goes Godfrey Jones, staying in front of the Ron and Piers Johnson Corvette, the number 4 car. Marco Attard in the Lamborghini will be his next target. Attard can get by Jordan Witt's little GR8 Chevron. Looks like a real David amongst the Goliaths around it, that Chevron. United Autosports team watching as their McLaren dices in the top 3. Not the only McLaren in the field, there's another one. 2011 champions Glyn and Jim Geddy. A little bit further down the order than they would have liked, perhaps, chasing the Acuria Cost BMW. And here is Duncan Cameron, under pressure now for the lead of the race. Ricky Christodoulou right behind in the number 15 Team WFR Ginetta. This is their GT3 spec car, really hanging on. Well, it looked like he had no damage from that clash with the Aston on the first lap. He's coming around the outside. He's got the Ferrari beaten for speed down the hangar straight and for grip into Stowe. He takes the lead. Well, here is that first corner instant. Christodoulou on the left of your picture gets inside Andrew Howard. 2 cars into 1 corner, and unfortunately the one on the outside spat off. On board with Alex Buncombe, Charles Bateman right in front, United Autosports. McLaren, he goes the long way around the outside. And there is the Ferrari, his next target if he completes this move, and he does. Parks the Nissan on the inside and onto the Wellington straight, not quickly, but he is in 3rd place. Plenty of action already. This is a 3-hour race, not a 10-lap Formula Ford sprint. You'd be forgiven for making that mistake, though. Alex Buncombe in the Nissan chasing hard after Charles Bateman. Now with 3 compulsory pit stops for driver changes, that's 2 stints for each driver, means a lot of tyres, a lot of fuel. The pit window is essentially 2 hours in the middle of the 3-hour race, so you can slice and dice this however you want. Buncombe still hanging on in the Nissan and closing ever so slowly, but closing on the Ferrari. Right behind him is Charles Bateman with Alex Buncombe. Heading into the fast left at Maggots, no lift, onto the brakes for the Beckett's S's. Now here's teammates Steve Tandy, and behind him David Ashburn. Ashburn started from the pits. This is now the battle for 19th place. Tandy was in the top 6 on lap 1, so he's had a major drama, and Ashburn coming up the order. Here is a challenge though for 2nd place from Alex Buncombe. Lunges to the inside of Duncan Cameron. And there is Jan Mardenborough getting ready for his first stint. Probably not for a while in the Nissan. Battle for 3rd in the GT4 class, and it's changing hands on the outside there, the 42 car of Dominic Evans. We ride on board now behind James May's 69 car. Dominic Evans' co-driver Zoe Wenham, the only person that could stop Warren Hughes and Jody Fannin from winning the GT4 title. And drama for the Mazda. Now, it was in the top 3, but a puncture, and that is going to put a real kink in the progress for Mark Ticehurst and Owen Mildenhall. And Andrew Howard brings the Beechdene Aston in. Now, this must be a legacy, surely, of the first corner shunt, and he does not look a happy bunny. Well, the Mazda was in 2nd place. This now makes this the battle for 2nd place in the GT4 class, and James May wriggling through on the inside. Dominic Evans having to let him go there. And Andy is caught up with Andrew Howard.
So what happened?
Just got punted off on the first corner. And I know we shouldn't get emotional and angry about it, but it's a 3-hour race, and they should be more professional than that. We were in line. I think I was on the inside curb. I mean, how can you hit someone on the inside curb at Copse? The car was good, it's a shame, but unfortunately he's broken my back caliper, so 5th lap in, going through farm, 4th flat, came to brake, no brakes. So we just went straight on. You pump it back, hoping it'll come back, but it's pushed the pads out, so it snapped the caliper and pushed the pads out. So coming into Wellington, coming into Brooklands, no brakes, so you got to make a call. I mean, whilst we get emotional about this, it's racing, you know. And but I'm really disappointed with the driving standard. These guys should know better, and especially if they're in that position on the grid.
Oh, problem there for John Dillon in the number 5 Ferrari 458. Into the pits come the 2011 champions. Dad Jim Geddy gets out. A little help from son Glyn. Yeah, cheers, mate. As the fueling happens, Cameron handing over to Matt Griffin in the 21 car. And various different tyre choices here. Looks like they've gone for rear tyres only, plus fuel and new driver. But you can do whatever you like in these changes. Alex Buncombe straps in Jan Mardenborough to the Nissan, and it looks like a 4-tyre change for them. Only 2 men allowed to work on the tyre change, so some good choreography required. Oh, and that's bad news for David Ashburn. Phil Keynes parked the number 31 car. They're out of the race, the championship leader. Well, that opens up the lead of the race, perhaps. So Wenham gets ready to go out as Andy has caught up with Alex Buncombe.
All right, you got a bit of a naughty boy flag then, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't really know why. You know, it's all very well then sat up there in the air conditioning offices, but it'd be nice to know what corner you're actually going over, because when you're on the limit, which is what most pro drivers do, you know, it's very hard to know which corner you've been penalised on. So it'd be nice if they actually put that on the screens. But many different things will happen, and we've just got to keep going around. You know, that's all we've got to do.
Well, the leaders are in. Ricky Christodoulou to hand over the number 15 Ginetta, and exceeding the track limits may be a bit of a problem here. Jody Firth getting ready to take over. Oh dear, exceeding the level of grip there, Steve Tandy. He's yet to pit. I'm sure one of the things to be on their list will be new tyres. Godfrey Jones hasn't stopped yet, and that Mercedes is now the race leader. Godfrey, twin brother David, enjoying their Mercedes here, but looks like they could do with some tyres as well. He leads from Lawrence Tomlinson, with Alistair McCaig third in the Kyriakos BMW. And I think Andy's caught up with a contrite Ricky Christodoulou.
Great start. Yeah, it's pretty good. Shame about turn one with the Beechstein car. I had literally nowhere to go. I was already on the inside. He just had a little bit more pace but carried on turning in. I braked it to go out of it. There was literally nowhere to go. It was 2 into 1. But I thought he'd be able to keep it. Unfortunately for him, his back end came around. So I've heard he's not too happy, which I apologise about, but it wasn't all my fault because he should have seen that I was still there on the inside.
Godfrey Jones pits the Mercedes from the lead of the race, and that hands the advantage to Lawrence Tomlinson, who's yet to stop in the orange and black Ginetta. So all sorts of changes going on, lots of different leaders so far in this 3-hour race at Silverstone. Looks like we may not know who's going to win it till right at the end. Well, true to his word, Ricky Christodoulou going over to have a word with Andrew Howard there. Lead battle at Silverstone, round 9 of the British GT Championship. The red, white and blue McLaren of Matt Bell being harassed by the black McLaren of Glyn Geddy, and he's going on to the inside into Abbey. Well, that's a brave pass for the lead. He used the Audi R8 of Craig Dolby and Bob Berridge, which was just slowing up the red, white and blue United Autosports McLaren. That was great opportunistic racing from our reigning champion, and that is the end of the road, perhaps, for Jody Firth. Number 15 car led early on. Oh, and trouble. 22, the silver Mercedes of David Jones. That's Zoe Wenham's car. Looks like they've made contact. Michael Caine slipping through on the inside for 5th place. Into the pits comes Jody Firth, the number 15 car that led at the start of the race. And they have got problems. Well, the bodywork is loose, but it's a mechanical problem he's reported to the team. Into the pits comes Glyn Geddy, and this is not a scheduled pit stop. This is a penalty. And the reason is that their pit stop was not long enough. Through goes Matt Bell, back into the lead in his McLaren, and not staying stationary for the minimum prescribed time means a very long wait for Glyn Geddy. Well, there's Jody Fannin leading the GT4 class, still in that number 55 Ginetta he shares with Warren Hughes. They are the championship leaders. They've already had 6 wins from 8 starts this year. They're doing everything they need to do here, driving fast and carefully, staying on the grey stuff, no penalties, no incidents, and watching the mirrors for cars like that. Marcel Lippert goes by in the Lamborghini Gallardo safely with no dramas. Now more pit stop action, another set of tyres on the M-Tech Ferrari. As Matt Griffin hands back to Duncan Cameron. David Jones defending 3rd place in the silver Mercedes number 22 from the orange and black Ginetta of Mike Simpson, who's all over him. Really attacking hard to try and get by. We've seen the Ginettas very quick in a straight line. They can pass pretty much anything and hold them through the corners. G55 is really in its element here at Silverstone. Big Mercedes stretching its legs out onto the hangar straight, but the Ginetta, so small it disappears behind the Stuttgart machine, is pulling out. Made in Sheffield. And lots of Sheffield steel being shown here by Simpson, who's going the long way around the outside. And he's got the grip to hold on. Yes, he has. Great pass for 3rd. There is our race leader, Charles Bateman, still at the wheel of the McLaren. And Andy's caught up with his teammate, Matt Bell.
That's some car you got, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's warm inside there, though, but it's running well at the moment. Lap times were okay, I think. I mean, I don't know what people behind me were doing, but we were running up there in the top 2 for that stint. Struggling with quite a lot of understeer. I think the increase in track temperatures had a part to play in now. Caught me out a little bit, so possibly overdrove it. Expecting more front grip at the start of the stint. Actually leading at the moment, and we'll see how everything plays out.
Oh dear, once more the Predator Ferrari overcomes the team's best wishes. This is a real battle of wills. They're desperate to get it to finish a race. It's desperate to retire. It looks like the car has won again. That's heartbreaking for Phil Burton. Battle for third in the GT4 class. Alexander Osborne in 69. Dominic Evans back in 42. The Aston Martin recovering after a brake change. So not in a battle with the Lamborghini, but trying to make up places nonetheless. Duhad and Johnny Adam looking for as good a result as they can. Marco Attard and Marcel Lippert enjoying their Lamborghini again in the British GT Championship. This is one of the glories of GT racing. Different looks, different approaches, different noises from all the cars. Fantastic racing as well. And look at this. Dominic Evans on the inside, trying to pick up third place once more from Alex Osborne. Can't squeeze through there. So at the moment, Zoe Wenham unable to resist the Team WFR duo. Warren Hughes and Jodie Fannin looks like they'll claim the title here. But in that 69 car, Alex Osborne had a narrow escape. Watch this, looping it round Exting the Vale in front of two track speed Porsches. They both managed to miss him. He'd already picked up some damage by that stage early in the race. Here's our race leader then, Matt Bell, back in the car for the final time. Last pit stop completed by the United Autosports team. And the McLaren dancing on its tiptoes. Matt Bell really working this car hard in the closing stages. The teams have all had their final roll of the dice. It's up to the drivers now, and time is running out. This is the battle for third place. Michael Caine in the Porsche, Mike Simpson in the Ginetta. Oh, and smoke, and I think that was from the Mazda, which has been in and out of the pits all race. It was. What's happened there? Gone straight off. Mark Ticehurst and Owen Mildenhall having more trouble than they'd like with the MX-5. There's Lawrence Tomlinson, nervous times for the Ginetta boss. This is the battle for fifth position. Twins, David and Godfrey Jones in the silver Mercedes versus father and son, Jim watching and Glyn Geddy driving. Geddy trying to go around the outside. But there's one true rule in British GTs. There are no easy passes against one of the Jones twins. You really have to work for it, and it's working here. Great outside-inside move from Maggots into the Beckett's S's, and he moves up a spot in the closing stages. Well, here we go for Matt Bell then. Last time around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Past the new Formula One pits he comes. He's half a lap away from victory. And here is Jodie Fannin, the number 55 Ginetta, leading the GT4 class. And just about to start his final lap of the race now. One lap away from victory at Silverstone and the championship title. Matt Bell again pushing the McLaren with everything he's got. Team making sure they don't pick up a penalty for standing on the pit wall at the finish. But they'll want to see their man come to the line for the second win of the season. They won in the opening weekend of their campaign with the McLaren at Snetterton, and they win the longest race in the championship. Victory at Silverstone. It'll be win number 7 from 9 starts for Warren Hughes and Jodie Fannin as Jodie brings the car across the line to claim the GT4 championship crown.
That's quite loud.
That was quite loud. That's great. Well, confirmation of the result of the 3-hour race at Silverstone then. Victory goes to the McLaren, BMW and Porsche rounding out the podium. And the first champions of the season, the GT4 winners, Jodie Fannin and Warren Hughes.
It's always nice to win a championship. It's never easy to do, even if it looks on paper that we were strong, which we were, but you still have to do it without mistakes. And Jodie's done a great job this year. Hopefully it's put them on the radar of quite a few people. And WFR have done just a fabulous job, particularly this weekend. Even though it's towards the end of the season, they've made quite an improvement with the car this weekend.
It's a brilliant race for us. The way I think we won it was just by keeping it clean, keeping it inside the white lines, and not getting any drive-through penalties. Everyone else seemed to suffer from that, and we just kept it clean. The car wasn't perfect, but it was a good car. So yeah, it was a good race.
Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin trailed by a half point. Coming to Silverstone, they lead by a half point going away over Alistair McCaig, though, as David Ashburn drops to 4th. But our GT4 title is assured.
This is it. It's time for the last race of the British GT season, and this is going to be the race of the year. Who do we have here? We have the championship leaders with all their rivals tucked in behind them. But as this is a 2-hour special, there are so many things that come into play here. Even the British weather. I'm talking about driver changes, tyres, refuelling, pit stops. It's all up for grabs. However, do we think they can do it? Let's talk to the teammate, Matt. Are you going to win it?
That's what we're here to do. We're here to win it. We think we definitely can. So we've got everything crossed, and we're going to be pushing as hard as we can go.
All right, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Let's get on racing.
Here we go for round 10 of the 2012 Avon Tyres British GT Championship. Nico Pronk on pole position in the red 36 Lamborghini. Zach Brown alongside in the blue, white and red McLaren. Here we go, Duncan Cameron, fourth on the grid. The red and white Ferrari makes a great start. He is our top title contender, the championship leader. 21 trying to get around the nose of car number 3. Hector Lester can't do it, and through on the inside goes David Ashburn, and through goes Andrew Howard, and through too goes Alistair McCaig. So Cameron jumped at the start, it looked good, but it didn't end up that way. On board, further back with Daniele Perfetti. He's trying to go by Cameron as well, and at the old hairpin he does. Squeezes by for 7th place, and the pain is increasing. The black Nissan from 14th after the grid after intercooler problems in qualifying. Alex Buncombe charging around the outside, and Duncan Cameron is down to 8th place. Is he being overcautious? He must finish to win this championship. If he finishes at the back, that won't help. And through past the number 3 car of Hector Lester have gone David Ashburn and 007 Andrew Howard. And here comes Alistair McCaig. He's right up behind, almost pushing the Ferrari down the straight. McCaig on the outside, can't get through, but Buncombe does. He goes by Daniele Perfetti in the Nissan, making up another place, that black machine. Alex Buncombe is flying, battle under braking for 2nd place. Contact Andrew Howard shoves his way past Nico Pronk. That delays the BMW, and the Nissan gets a free run on the inside. Buncombe looking for another place. He's in 5th position now. No, he's not quite, trying to go around the outside of Nico Pronk, and trouble there. That's John Minshaw, and just pulling away is Ian Stinton. Wow, did anybody tell them this is 2 hours, not 2 laps? Goodness me, on either side of the Lamborghini go Alex Buncombe and Daniele Perfetti. They both go by, and Buncombe now up into 5th position. Alistair McCaig follows through as well. The British GT regulars have got a title to win, but they've all got to survive somehow. This is 2 hours, not 2 laps, and they can't afford damage at any stage. Just outside the top half dozen is Charles Bateman in 24, but in the pits is John Minshaw, Tim Harvey, and he are out of the race after just 1 lap. Here's the battle for the lead. Zach Brown jumped by 007, Andrew Howard leads, and Alex Buncombe is up to 2nd place. In the rear view camera there, that is Alex Buncombe. He is coming, he is coming, he is up the inside and takes the lead. Andrew Howard led for a corner. Alex Buncombe now leads. Zach Brown in 3rd. Right in front of us is 4th place, car number 31, that's David Ashburn. Perfetti looking to move on the inside. Ashburn covers. Oh, just avoids contact as he locks up. Little bump right behind Duncan Cameron. That's Alistair McCaig just in front of Charles Bateman in the 2nd McLaren. And up the inside, David Ashburn, 31, pushing hard, giving Zach Brown a run for his money. McLaren versus Porsche. McLaren had its nose behind at the line, but he's got the inside. He's got track advantage and hangs on to 3rd, and Daniele Perfetti looking inside as well. Look at the hands on the wheel, really working hard. Look at his head, pushing forward with his head, trying to go quicker. Owen Mildenhall in the green Mazda jumps the chicane, 2nd in GT4. We ride in 3rd place with the championship runner-up Zoe Wenham in her 1st season of British GT. Cleanly down the inside of Mildenhall into the Melbourne hairpin, right in front the white car, Jody Fannin, the race leader in GT4 for these slightly slower cars, and of course he and Warren Hughes already crowned as champions. And Zoe Wenham, well, she would love to finish the season with a maiden victory in GT4. Let's see if her opening stint in this 2-hour race can tee that up. Oh, in the gravel, Phil Driver in the Aston. Looks like they are out of the race. Alex Buncombe romping away in the Nissan, really leaving the rest of the field for dead. Bob Neville there and his team looking pretty happy with the pace. But now it is time to hand cars over. Duncan Cameron, the championship leader, with his co-driver Matt Griffin there. At least they were coming in here. Fuel goes in first and then tyres if needed. Alistair McCaig, well, his co-driver Ollie Bryant for this weekend, now back to fitness after a crash at Spa a few weeks ago. We'll be hoping to put McCaig into the title hunt. 24 McLaren up to second, Charles Bateman and Matt Bell. Mathematical title chances as well, perhaps. And, quick conflab between the drivers before Ollie Bryant gets back into that BMW. In comes Daniele Perfetti. Michael Caine will help his co-driver out of the car, and again, tyres ready should they be needed. But a great run from the middle of the field has put the Jones brothers into contention in their Mercedes. The McLaren is being caught fast by the SLS. David and Godfrey Jones, the identical twins, former British GT champions, of course. Michael Caine jigging up and down, can't wait to get in the car. Jan Mardenborough, a year ago he was a PlayStation gamer who'd just been handed a racing license, and now he could end up as an actual real-life champion. Michael Caine ready to go, keeping he and Daniele Perfetti in the championship. Just 9.5 points back, coming in here with 37.5 points for victory. In is the race leader, Alex Buncombe, to hand over to his co-driver, Jan Mardenborough. The team will concentrate on as quick and clean a pit stop as possible, and behind, in comes the second place McLaren. Zach Brown will hand over to Matt Bell. Smoke from the race leader. Jan Mardenborough in the Nissan is in trouble. Alex Buncombe, his teammate, who built up such a big advantage early on. And look at that, the Nissan is sitting down on the left rear corner. Godfrey Jones comes around to claim the lead as Mardenborough is forced into the pit lane. Their title hopes are over. David and Godfrey Jones cannot win the title. Now neither can Jan Mardenborough and Alex Buncombe. And Bob Neville can only watch on in despair. Let's take a look, coming down the Craner curves with a comfortable race lead. What happens to Mardenborough? He has a major moment, and he's with Alex Buncombe. What's happened to that Nissan?
Well, after an incredible first lap, what's happened?
Rear damper's broken, unfortunately, so what can I say? Nothing we can do, so just one of those things. That's motorsport, I guess. We'll come back fighting next year, hopefully.
If you don't mind me saying, you look absolutely devastated.
Yeah, I am. I had a really good stint, you know. Pulled a nice gap for Jan, which was the plan. I didn't expect to get to the lead so fast, so I'm really pleased with the way we drove, and yeah, we had that in the bag, I think.
Well, they're going to fix it and get the car back out. It is a vital learning part of their experience. Now then, for car number 21, Matt Griffin, the first of these two Ferraris. He currently lies 5th. He is half a point ahead of Michael Caine, who needs to pass Godfrey Jones and win the race to take the title. And what cannot happen is Alan Simonson in the number 3 car cannot get in front of Matt Griffin. Oh, and that's Piers Johnson. He's gone off on the exit of McLean's. Yellow flags out there, so there was a pass by Simonson, I think just before they got to the yellows, and he stays in front. Now it's green, and Matt Griffin has got to fight back. The championship has just changed. Griffin has lost the lead to Michael Caine in terms of championship points. Can he get back in front? Not there. Wow. Now, early on in the race, it looked like they were all in a 2-lap demolition derby. Now it's all about points, and the safety car is going to close the field right up. There is your leader, Godfrey Jones. Right behind him, Michael Caine, and his championship rivals will also close right up as Andy has caught up with Duncan Cameron in the pits.
Tell me how you're feeling right now.
Nervous.
Can you explain why?
Yeah, I had a rubbish start. My stint wasn't great. The pace was good, but I got stuck behind David Ashburn in the Porsche, and by the time I got past, everybody streaked off into the distance. So, yeah, I'm annoyed with myself. But I had a bit of good luck with the Nissan falling out, and, you know, I think we're there or thereabouts.
David Jones ahead of Michael Caine. The two McLarens, Matt Bell and Alvaro Parent, third and fourth, ahead of Matt Griffin in fifth, who does have a half-point championship lead still. So what's the strategy? What will happen now? Let's get down to the pits. Andy's with Daniele Perfetti.
Every time I've spoken to you this season, you've been confident, you've been relaxed. You look very nervous right now.
No, nervous, no. Let's look at the restart.
Yes, they are getting ready to go green. It is David Jones from Michael Caine. Matt Bell in third place, having a run in the McLaren, but so is Michael Caine.
Sorry, I apologise.
Caine is looking for the lead. He's on the inside. And it is David Jones who holds on. The McLarens fighting each other. Caine checks the mirrors.
Sorry, we get started.
This is good for you. The restart's worked out.
Yeah, so far it was better maybe without, but okay, it went all right. So let's see what happens. We need Michael to overtake the Mercedes, and whatever happens behind that at that point is not a big deal.
Can he do it?
Yeah, I'm sure he can. He will.
He can, he will, he might. But look at Matt Griffin right behind the two McLarens. Griffin really pushing hard for this. Oh, and Mike Simpson loops around the Ginetta. No harm, no damage done, as long as he gets back on carefully. Well, everybody bunched up at the front of the field. Battle is on. Behind the number 5 Ferrari is Peter Cox in the Lamborghini. He's coming fast up the order. And headlights ablaze on the BMW as, oh, a great lunge down the inside from Matt Bell. Almost makes contact with Michael Caine. A little bump there between them. Caine, is he on the radio? Oh, he's trying to go around the outside. And it looks as though the championship has just swung again right behind. Car number 21 is the Ferrari, and his championship lead is just growing. The Ferrari was half a point in front before the pass of Matt Bell, and now it's 5 points in front of the number 11. And here's a change for the lead. Alvaro Parent, former British F3 champion, dives inside Godfrey Jones. David Jones, his twin brother, sees the change. So they may not end up on the top step of the podium here. Now, Ollie Bryant could change it again. He's driving on behalf of Alistair McCaig, who started half a point behind Cameron and Griffin. That's the Ferrari right in front. If he can get by the Ferrari, they'll be champions. Duncan Cameron looking remarkably calm, isn't he? I don't know how he can be enjoying this. The only one that's not a player is the number 5 Ferrari of Aaron Scott. There's the second place car of Bell, Caine. Oh, and down the inside of Godfrey Jones comes Matt Griffin, and that is a vital move. He puts himself further up the order of British Championship scorers. Don't forget, Alvaro Parent and Peter Cox do not score points. Ollie Bryant trying to get by Godfrey as well. Oh, contact! He's hit Griffin! Oh, no! And look, that is the BMW team. They can't believe it either. This is really going to cost Matt Griffin and Duncan Cameron, and as he 3-point turns, surely Griffin knows their title run is over. Well, Ollie Bryant's car looks to be in one piece, and that puts him further up the order, and that now puts Alistair McCaig, the co-driver of that car, in the championship lead. But I wonder for how long, because that's Mike Edmonds, the boss of M-Tech, and he is off to have a rant at the stewards. Well, let's take a look at how that happened then. On board again with Ollie Bryant. He must stay with the Ferrari, so he's got to try and get by car number 22, Godfrey Jones. Jones helpfully uses the racing line on the outside. Ollie up the inside. And he just misjudged that awfully, didn't he? Oh, dear.
Bernard's looking at the incident. They don't, unfortunately, have the live TV feed that we have down here that clearly shows the BMW past the Joneses under braking, but then it was an over-ambitious move, and he's just taken us round 180 degrees and taken us out. I can see that if Bernard looks at it and penalises the BMW, he can put that behind us, but it's ruined the championship effectively. You know, another car's going to win that stayed out of trouble, and the BMW's effectively blown our championship, possibly his own, through just a bit of moment of stupidity, really.
That's it, guys, I'm afraid. Yes.
Chris Needell of Barwell Motorsport. He's just seen what we've all seen, a 1-minute stop and go for Ollie Bryant, and that has taken Matt and Duncan out of the equation, and it's also taken Alistair McCaig out of the championship hunt, surely. Up into second has gone the Flying Dutchman Peter Cox as Ollie Bryant heads down pit road. He'll have a minute to sit and stew and rue that mistake, because surely it was not deliberate. Oh, Gary Eastwood, oh goodness me, and Godfrey Jones on the grass to avoid him. Oh, that was close as Eastwood looped it around exiting McLean's. Now he's going once more, but much quicker machinery whizzing by. Big scare there for Eastwood and for Godfrey Jones, I'm sure. There you just saw Matt Griffin's Ferrari going by, still in 10th. And Daniele Perfetti starting to believe what he said earlier. He can do it. He will do it, he said of Michael Caine. And now, on the last lap, he is doing it. Michael Caine will not win this race, but he will win the championship. You go into the final encounter just 9.5 points away. You are always in with a chance. Here is Alvaro Perret rocking over the curbs for the last time, down the Melbourne hairpin, a part of British motor racing that he knows so well. He is going to claim victory for United Autosports and for McLaren, with the Formula One team boss Martin Whitmarsh on hand to witness it. Peter Cox will be second in the Lamborghini that started on pole, but victory in the 10th and final round of the Avon Tyres British GT Championship goes to McLaren. But at the end of a race where almost all the contenders had a shot at the title, the victory in the championship goes to Daniele Perfetti and Michael Caine. The Motorbase team are thrilled, as will be Team WFR. Jody Fannin and Warren Hughes claim victory number 8 of the season. They're already our GT4 champions. Well, Andy's down with the Motorbase team. Let's hear from Perfetti.
What a finish, yeah.
You thought it was going to happen, and it's all come together in that last incredible, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I guess it shows that in British GT you have to keep it clean and get to the end all the time. We learned halfway through the season, we had a few moments, but I guess then we just kept on driving clean and always bring the car home. The team is just the best team in England. There's no way around it. They've done a fantastic job, everybody. And Michael's, what a god.
Well, after perhaps the tensest 2 hours in British GT history, it was survival of the fittest. Daniele Perfetti and Michael Caine, 4th place, enough to seal the 2012 title.
How was that?
I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't hear through my earphones, so I knew that Cox was in that car, and I just thought I'm just going to let him through. And after being assaulted by a few McLarens, I just thought, well, we just got to keep going. And the guys were just telling me to hold the pace in the slower corners. I could just about hear them. But I just have to ask them if we'd won. Really? Yeah, on the warming down lap. So yeah, it was it was interesting.
What a finish to a fabulous season. Jody Fanning, Warren Hughes, the GT4 champs ahead of Zoe Wenham. And by 3.5 points at the end of the year, Michael Caine and Daniele Perfetti, the overall title winners.
Well, I said to you right at the start that this season was going to be something a little bit special, and my word, in that final, I think you have just seen racing magic at its finest. They are the happiest men here at Donington Park, because what an astonishing finish to this season. They haven't even won a race this season, and yet they are the British GT 2012 champions. Make sure you return to us next season for more incredible racing just like this.